was trending at 9:02. It'll be a hot 4th of July, but not as humid as last month, according to Cody Moore with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis.
So starting tomorrow, highs are going to be above that 90-degree mark once again. However, we aren't expecting things to be as oppressive as they were with the previous week's heat wave.
Most areas of the state will have high temperatures in the low 90s heading into the weekend. State police say they've arrested a 19-year-old in connection to a shooting that took place on I-70 in East Indy over the weekend. The shooting on Saturday, troopers found a man in a Toyota Camry on the right shoulder of the interstate with a gunshot wound to his shoulder and bullet holes in the side of his car. Through their investigation, troopers were able to arrest Jonathan Avila Molina. He faces multiple preliminary charges, including attempted murder and unlawful possession of a firearm. A Lafayette father is getting nearly a century in prison for the murder of his 3-month-old son. 29-year-old Eliasard Monias also pleaded guilty to trying to kill his wife. He was sentenced to 92 years this week. The toddler was found in a bucket of liquid laundry detergent inside an apartment back in August. Gas prices falling a little bit this week. The average gas price across the state of Indiana is $3.16 per gallon today, according to Gas Buddy. That's the average here in Indianapolis. The cheapest gas in the state is in Evansville at $2.88 a gallon. And the Indiana Fever say they are surging with confidence at the moment. John Herrick reports on why that is and what comes next.
They feel great because they beat the team with the best record in the WNBA and the Minnesota Lynx on Tuesday night to win the WNBA's Commissioner's Cup without Caitlin Clark. Fever forward Aaliyah Boston says victories like that provide inspiration.
We played without any pressure, and we wanted to focus on seeing how we measure up against Minnesota, considering they're a top team in the league. And so for us, coming out with that win was pretty great.
But now the Fever have to face the Las Vegas Aces tonight, and Clark will be out again as she continues to deal with a groin injury. Tip-off at 7 Eastern. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Now with traffic on the 5s, good morning, Matt Bear.
What's happening, Jarrett? Looking at Hancock County, still shut down eastbound 70 between State Road 9 and State Road 109. That's because of an earlier semi-fire, and they're cleaning that up right now. Traffic in the meantime, just abysmal as you're heading to Knightstown. We're looking at a stopped traffic from State Road 9 for several miles. So to reroute, I'm exiting at Mount Comfort Road, then taking it from there. Southside northbound 65 has reopened at Raven Street. We had power lines down, and those have been cleared. And right now, we're still stopped from 465 to South Keystone Avenue, and a little bit beyond. It's going to take a little longer for it to clear out because it's a construction zone. Looking at westbound 70 by Indianapolis International Airport. This is a crash before Ronald Reagan Parkway, blocking 2 left lanes. No delay. There is a slowdown. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance. Save on top brands like Electrolux, Frigidaire, and more during the red, white, and blue sale at Grand Appliance. Visit grandappliance.com or your local Grand today. That's grandappliance.com. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show this Saturday and Sunday at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory on West Minnesota Street. The best dealers in the region, hundreds of tables, just $6 for adults, kids 12 and under free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade this Saturday 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for 1951 cabinetry. Visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
Now the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Sunny and very warm, but overall quiet with maybe a stray storm later this afternoon. Today's high 89. Mainly clear, quiet, and muggy overnight, a low of 70. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Kendall Casey starts now.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Yes, it's going down exactly as we told you it was going to go down, because when it's all said and done, it's about them and not you. It's the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Our old pal, Jerry Lopez. Find him on Twitter at Indy Spanglish in for Casey. And, well, it's not final yet, but for all intents and purposes, it is done. The conservatives, the Freedom Caucus, the Liberty and Minded folks over in the House, they caved exactly in the middle of the night as we told you they would, Jerry, and it appears the big bullcrap bill and all the funding of health care for illegal immigrants and the public money for child sex changes and the trillions of dollars to the nation's debt and the giving away of money to select groups and the legalized vote buying. It's all about to pass. And, well, everybody's so proud of themselves, Jerry.
Yeah, as happy as I am to be here, it kind of sucks because I get to hear you say you were right for the next 3 hours.
So here's what we're going to do today, Jerry. I brought this in for you. We'll put this up on camera. We're going to crack open a beer here. We don't normally do this at 9:07, but we're going to do this on the air because it's a day to drink our sorrows away because once again, the Republicans, Jerry, they did it again. Every opportunity. So this is the third time in my life that the Republicans have had control of all branches of the government.
Screwed it up.
Yeah.
Screwed it up.
And once again, they've said all the things and promised to do all the things. And then they get in there and they do the exact opposite. Because when it's all said and done, the Republicans are just as invested in the legalized vote buying, in the big government, in the rewarding the donors and the lobbyists as the Democrats. They just serve different masters.
You know, there are certain things you and I will disagree on for sure. Whether it's the no tax on tips, I'm good with that. But I think all of us can agree that illegal aliens should not have free health insurance paid by the American citizens, and we should not be using taxpayer-funded money to pay for sex changes for minors. That is crazy. That shouldn't even be included. How did they let this in?
Well, and you know what's fascinating to me is the people on social media who otherwise seem like pretty reasonable, smart individuals, who even though it's there in the text, and no matter how many media outlets report on it, or even to the point where let's just take the health care for illegal immigrants. Yesterday on this show, I laid out how that's going to work. And the word salad that the Republicans did in the Senate to try to make you think that they're not funding health care for illegal immigrants. And we laid out yesterday, and this is what, look, our show is popular because we love you more than we want to be liked. And we will tell you the truth, and sometimes that's going to piss you off because our team lets you down oftentimes as much as the other side.
You deliver the truth, and you don't you let people digest it. Whether you want to hear it or not, these are the facts.
And yesterday we laid out because people like the Trump administration and some of these senators were posting, oh, illegals aren't getting health care under this bill. We've revoked it and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no. No. What they're doing with the health care for legal immigrants is exactly what they've screamed about for years with the abortion money through Planned Parenthood, where they say, well, no federal money can go for abortions. Yeah, but Planned Parenthood does abortions. Yeah, but no federal money's going to that. Well, but what difference does it make what money it is? You give them money, they do abortions, you're funding abortions because that's money that could go somewhere else. And yesterday, and people were just screaming at me on social media like, no, the Trumps and this and that. And I'm saying, I'm reading it like it's in the text. I'm looking at this. I know how to read this stuff. This is what I do. I'm looking right at it. All these media outlets, are they all in cahoots together? Why would they lie about this? No, this so-and-so said. And it's like, it's in there. And so yesterday, Chip Roy, who, as he always does, he caved because that's what these people do. Sparks.
They're scared.
And Roy,
they're scared to stand up to Trump.
They'll huff and they'll puff, and then they give in. And
Did you see Sparks' tweet?
Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
Holy cow.
We'll get to that because that deserves its own
Holy
little thing.
cow, dude. That's
Okay.
my congresswoman.
So here is Chip Roy yesterday saying exactly what I said and exactly how they're funding the health care for illegal immigrants, which is they're still giving money to the states. The states can use their own money and whatever they want, and then it's going to be backfilled with the Medicaid, so the Republicans will be able to say, no, federal money is going to illegal immigrants. Chip Roy explains exactly what they're doing, which is exactly what I told you they're doing.
It is already unlawful for Medicaid to go to illegals, right? So you're not supposed to do it. But they backdoor into it, and we've got reports showing that millions get Medicaid. So what did we do? In the bill, there's a section, I can't remember the number, section 7.1, blah, blah, blah. And it does tighten it some. It puts some teeth into it. CBO scores it as saving $5 or $6 billion. So Senator Schmidt is not wrong. There's language in there that makes it better. And we fought for that in the House, and the Senate's got it. But the one thing we did in the House, and this is important, and it's a part of the Medicaid scam, right? You and all your viewers and all of us want to make sure the vulnerable for whom Medicaid was created and working class Americans, they get the ability to go get health care. But we don't want the able-bodied, the scammers to get it. We don't want insurance companies and fat cats to get rich on the back of this program. So here's how it works. The fact is, you take some of that money, the state money, they'll go spend it on illegal aliens. They won't use the federal money, which they're prohibited from doing, but they'll use their state money, but they'll still claim all of the provider tax dollars and the FMAP matching dollars and use that to fatten their coffers. So they end run the restrictions. In the House bill, we said you're going to lose your federal match if you continue to provide Medicaid to illegal aliens. And so, California, for example, the Senate stripped that out. They hid behind the parliamentarian, but they didn't fight hard enough to keep it in, and they didn't rework the language so that we can guarantee that those federal dollars don't flow to states that give money to illegal aliens. I hope that's clear.
Okay, so, Jerry, this is the thing that I've been at this for years, man. I've been in this business for going on 25 years, and I cannot figure this out. I've been closely involved in politics and government for 15 years. I cannot figure out why people are so wed to sides that when something is hitting them right between the eyes in print and somebody says, here it is, they just scream at the guy that goes, here it is, rather than saying, boy, you know what? He's right. And this had happened again. It never changes. It never changes that no matter when our side, or people that are supposed to be on our side, do something, people go into their corner to the point where it's blatantly obvious that we are funding health care for illegal immigrants in this bill, and rather than look at it go, boy, he is correct, and that is egregious, and that should not be happening, they just rather scream at me.
It's really hard to look at your own party, if you will, and say that we're not perfect, because some people, like we said before, white hats and black hats. And sometimes you can look at our team and go, there's some things we need to work on. Right? When you look at the Obama administration, they pushed through Obamacare, lockstep, everybody ran for it, they push it through. We have full control, and we can't even pass no health care for illegals as a single line item.
And there are absolutely federal money for sex changes for little kids.
We could line item that.
Exactly. They could. They don't want to. Okay, so here's the other thing that I love. So this is Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, basically what I call dadding, where he's basically wagging his finger at people who dared say, hey, adding another $5 trillion on top of the $20 trillion you're basically already going to add to the nation's debt over the next 10 years. That seems pretty bad. And here's him basically lecturing these people, trying to make them out like they're some all or nothing group of individuals. So I want to play this, and then I'm going to ask you a question about it. Go.
We can't make everyone 100% happy. It's impossible. This is a deliberative body. It's a legislative process. By definition, all of us have to give up on our personal preferences. I never going to ask anybody to compromise core principles, but preferences must be yielded for the greater good, and that's what I think people are recognizing and come to grips with.
So why aren't the fiscal sanity people ever the ones who get made happy? Why are we always the ones who are labeled the bad guys? Because I don't want my kid and my grandkids to have to pay for our dine and dashing. That's just some personal preference. Yeah, it's just your personal preference that we ought not add another $20 trillion that people don't have a vote on are going to have to pay for. That doesn't sound like a personal preference to me. That sounds like standing up for something and saying it's ridiculous and it's malfeasance to make little kids or future generations who aren't alive yet to pay for your stuff.
I agree completely, but if we want to be realistic about it, you have two things that really ruin all this. One, all the special interests, right? You either compromise your fiscal responsibility, or we're not going to fund your pet project that you want to do back home. That's number one. Number two is we're going to ostracize you from the group. You saw what Trump said about Macy. Oh, really? We're going to primary you. What?
So what?
Why would you say anything if Massey's a good guy? Imagine being new. Why would you get out of step?
But so what? That's what you go there to do.
I agree.
You don't go.
You represent the people of your district.
No, they don't. That's a problem.
Well, they're supposed to.
All right, real quick, I want to get one more piece of audio, and then next segment we got to read this tweet from Victoria Sparks.
Oh my gosh!
It was so ridiculous. I thought it was a parody account, and then I realized it was actually her. All right, so real quick, Ro Khanna, he is a congressman, a Democrat. And I want to play this clip because this is a rare occasion in which a person proves you can be accurate and full of crap at the same time. Because this Republican plan is awful. It will further expand the debt.
But then he's also lying about his butt out of his butt cheeks, like acting like the Democrats want to do anything about the debt either. So this man is able. It's a historical moment caught on video in which a man can be accurate and full of crap at the same time.
Member from California is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Speaker, I never want to hear the Republicans lecture about fiscal responsibility again. The last president to actually balance this budget was Bill Clinton, and today, Bob Rubin and Larry Summers wrote an op-ed in the New York Times that every American should read. Their budget will take the deficit up to 8% of GDP. It is historically unprecedented in the history of our country during peacetime. We've never had a more reckless deficit exploding bill than what they're posing. The Democrats have a proposal to bring the deficits back down under 4%. Bob Rubin and Larry Summers were the last ones who've done it. Hakeem Jeffries is leading with a sensible proposal to lower deficits. If you care about debt in this country, if you care about our grandkids being burdened with debt, if you care about a bond market devastation, then you need to recognize that this bill hurts America, and you need to support the Democratic plan for deficit reduction.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, of course,
the Democrat plan for deficit reduction?
Yeah, of course, that's he's full of it on that.
When have you ever heard them even talking about?
But I do want to put this in perspective because that's what I'm saying. He's both full of crap and right at the same time. And then we got to get to a break. The Republicans it's not final yet, but it's going to pass, are voting to print more money today than they did during COVID. Let's put that in perspective for everyone.
It's a lot, too.
They're voting to print more money today than they did during COVID. So they've learned nothing. All the damage and all the pain and all the calamity that they caused in terms of driving up prices, inflation, all of this stuff, they're doing the exact same thing again. All right, Jerry Lopez in for Casey. Let's take a break. When we come back, I got to reach this Victoria Sports tweet because she is. If you voted for this woman, you should be ashamed of yourself because this is your representation. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Now, the idea of Uber goes against everything we were taught as kids, though.
What's that?
Never get into a car with a stranger.
But there's betting.
Now we pay for it. We're literally paying the stranger to take us somewhere.
But at least there's some sort of vetting. You know the name of the person that's coming.
So you'll know your kidnapper. It's like having an alarm on your car. Great, I can hear it being stolen.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Home sales activity is good, not great. So many homes, if improperly marketed, are sitting on the market. Hiring the wrong sales agent will cost you time and money. Hire the expert who maximizes equity and sells fast. The expert realtor I recommend is Mark Dietl. Perhaps you're worried you need costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Luke and Emma in Franklin had to say about working with Mark Dietl. We found the perfect piece of land and began building our new dream home, but we needed to sell our old place at the right price to fund the dream. We hired the Mark Dietl team and got multiple offers in the first weekend, closed in 25 days, and they negotiated for us to stay while we completed our new place. Selling was stress-free and profitable with Mark Dietl. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietl.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
Trump country is booming. We're building, hiring, and winning in Indiana because energy tax credits put America first, bringing manufacturing jobs home and creating a stronger middle class.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country. More production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers.
And America's comeback depends on American energy. Senator Young, keep what works. Don't repeal energy tax credits. Paid for by Built for America.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. Destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken.
Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Attorney General's Unclaimed Property Division has over $800 million just waiting to be claimed. Text Tamara and Nigel to 46220 or visit indianaunclaimed.gov to claim yours today.
They're all cowards. They're all ridiculous. And that is a very dangerous combination. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Jerry Lopez is in for Casey today. So, Jerry, it is 9:22 on Thursday, July the 3rd, and it is my least favorite part of every show, where I have to come on these very powerful radio airwaves and explain to our audience how I was exactly right.
This is my worst part of the show as well.
Well, and we actually had to do it last segment on the illegals getting healthier. Okay, so we can now cut the crap and admit that all of Indiana's Republicans and Benny Banks and Spendingberg, Todd Young and Jim Banks, voted to continue giving illegals free health care, paid for by you, but free to them, and that all of those people voted to continue public money for child sex changes, and all of those people are voting to add, when you combine the current budgets with this, $20+ trillion to the nation's debt over the next 10 years. The Biden green scam stays largely in full effect. The big fat fatties can keep sitting on their ass for the most part and not working and getting free health care. All of that stuff remains a part of the laws of this country. So no more from any of them. No more from any of them about government spending or waste or abuse or anything. The Republicans now, the Indiana Republican Party.
Or protecting kids.
Is the party of child sex changes. They're the party of health care for illegal immigrants. They're the party of massive governments. And they were these things before, but this was their opportunity in black and white to say it stops here. Here's the line in the sand, and they all voted for it.
I did not have Indiana becoming California on my 2025 bingo card, Rob.
Okay, so I gotta reshoot this tweet from Victoria Sports. So this is last night in the throes, and I told you yesterday on this program we've now been proven it totally correct about the illegals getting the health care. Chip Roy laid it out. The scam works exactly as I said yesterday on this program, how it works and how they hide it. Okay, the other thing we said yesterday is I guarantee you, Victoria Sports will yap.
You said this. You said this.
Yeah,
I heard it.
Yes, I said she will, because I know these people, and this is why they hate me, and this is why we're so popular. These two things collide together because I know them and I know how they operate, and I read them better than they read themselves. And I said she will yap, and then when it comes time to put up or shut up,
rubber stamp.
She will cave, and she will blame it on or find some little minor minutia thing that they switched for her to hang her hat on, as though she solved all the Republic's ails herself. So this was her tweet while the whole thing is going on last night. At Senate GOP, jammed House GOP as expected. Now the House has two choices. Improve this bill and rules and send it back to the Senate, or don't waste everyone's time and just pass it as is. I prefer the first one, but the second will work too. This bill has some good stuff.
I don't even know what to say, Rob. I mean, step one says she knows the bill's a mess. It needs to be fixed. Step two is, let's just pass it anyway.
And I thought it was a parody account. Like, I had to check it and check the other tweets on the account, and it's harder to tell now on Twitter. That is a legitimate correspondence from a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. Improve the bill and rules and send it back to the Senate after admitting the Senate screwed everybody over, or don't waste everyone's time and just pass it as is.
It would be a waste of time to improve it then?
Lady, why are you there?
Well,
we know why you're
there. There's a lot of people that are wondering why she's there.
Well, but it's all of these people. They're there for themselves. They're there to better themselves.
And mind you, Victoria said she wasn't going to run.
Right.
And then came back after 8 people got in, decided she was going to run. And a lot of people say she did it for the things you get once you serve so many years.
That's right.
And now what are you doing?
So for those who don't know, I believe this is still the way it is. Pensions are, I believe, 62 years old in 6 years.
Right.
This would be years 5 and 6 for her, right?
Yeah,
Very
correct.
good. Okay. Now, the other thing is she voted no. So then people are like, okay, she's going to vote yes. Then she votes no. and then flips her vote and votes yes.
It's not the first time she's done that, Rob.
If she is your representative, you should be just mortified. And if you voted for her, I'm sorry, you are a part of the problem because she's done this basically the entire time she's been there. I also want to read you this quote because I thought, okay, she is the winner of the Dumbass of the Day award.
Oh, wow.
Somebody has finally usurped Jim Lucas as the winner of the Dumbass of the Day award. I thought, okay, Sparks is going to be our clear and concise winner. But then this guy, Warren Davidson of Ohio, said, hold my beer. I'd like to get on the Dumbass of the Day contest.
We have a new contender.
Now, he is one of the two people who voted no the last time with Massey.
Okay.
Who said this thing adds to the debt. It does all these things. I'm not standing behind. Okay, great, cool. Here's his quote. This is per The Hill. This is the thinking of the people who represent you in Washington. Now, imagine if whatever company you work for, the guy who you depend on to run the company so that you have a job and can afford to feed your family thought this way. Quote, because he flipped. He's one of the other ones who flipped. Quote, I got to say, no one puts a deal together like President Trump. He's a master. But I think one of the other persuasive things was just looking at the Democrats' reaction to this.
They were so mad I voted for it even though I knew it was bad.
That's his quote.
Wow.
You're getting screwed. He already voted no on it. Everybody acknowledges the Senate made it worse than the thing he already voted no on.
But those guys don't like it, so I'm in.
That's how our country is run.
No, our country is run like NASCAR, dude. all these people need to wear the NASCAR shirts. Every member of Congress should have to wear a NASCAR outfit with all their freaking sponsors so we know who's paying them. Because it's not coming from us, dude. They don't represent us. I need to see Sparks out there with the Pfizer thing, and I need all that. You brought up a point yesterday. Was it about the executive order for lab-grown meat?
Yes.
You mean to tell me there's not some farmers association that got that? But think about that.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, we're going to do a little bunch of more stuff on the big bullcrap bill today. But let's turn our attention to local when we come back. Our old pal, Stephen Whitmer from Indy Reporter, will be with us. He's got a bunch of stuff on this data center, the data centers, on the IEDC. A lot of good data, no pun intended, on how you're getting screwed. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Delaying the vote. It's sunny and 78 in downtown Indianapolis. Your high today, 88. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 9:30. The House voting to advance President Trump's big, beautiful bill to its final phase in Congress. A vote on the House floor is imminent. Democrats are working, though, to delay the final measure. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Fox Business's Mornings with Maria.
I think this bill, over the next year, we are going to see growth like we have not seen, and importantly, it is going to be non-inflationary growth, which is something that Democrats couldn't do.
The bill is also facing opposition from some conservative lawmakers due to changes the Senate made to the legislation, with fiscal hawks arguing it would add billions of dollars to the deficit. The job market holding up better than expected last month.
Job growth remained strong last month, and the unemployment rate declined, even though the month had a backdrop of uncertainty over trade. There were 147,000 new jobs created. Economists estimated only 110,000. June's unemployment rate improved to 4.1%. Also, the numbers for April and May were revised to reflect stronger job growth than first reported.
Fox's Jenny Casalo reporting. And at least 4 people are dead. 14 others were injured after a drive-by shooting outside a nightclub in Chicago. The victims' ages range from 21 to 31. Police say there was a large crowd gathered for a rapper's album release. Police say no arrests have been made. And now your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management. The Dow is up 67 points, 44,484. The S&P 500 is also up 15 points to 6,227. As for the NASDAQ, it's in the green, 71 points, 22,641. I'm Jarrett Lewis on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
History returns with the Brickyard 400 at the famed 2.5-mile oval, celebrating NASCAR's roots at the racing capital of the world. Brickyard weekend starts Thursday, July 24th with the Indiana Sprint Week race, with sprint cars running on the IMS dirt track for the first time ever. Saturday, July 26th, get ready for action with the NASCAR Xfinity Series Pennzoil 250. Then Sunday, July 27th, the NASCAR Cup Series Brickyard 400, presented by PPG, returns to the oval of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Buy now and save at IMS.com.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Reach your fitness goals in 2025 with a 20-minute once-a-week program at Exercise Inc. 5 locations now in Fishers. Visit exerciseinc.com.
We all have people in our lives we interact with. Maybe it's your favorite barista, a neighbor who waves to you every morning, a coworker you grab lunch with, or maybe it's me, the hairstylist you've gone to for years. What if you learned I had a substance use disorder? Would it change how you see me? It's okay to see the addiction, but when you choose to see the person, not just their disease, it can help change someone's life. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Splendid isolation. I don't need no one. Splendid isolation.
Everything's messed up everywhere, and that includes here in the state of Indiana. And, well, you know, we made a decision several weeks ago that we're basically on a kamikaze mission here on the Kendall and Casey show. And, well, you can't just be a solo kamikaze pilot. You got to bring in people that are willing to go down with you. And, boy, did we find a guy. He brings the receipts, as we like to say. Find him on Twitter at Indy_reporter_. The face of the Indy Reporter account joins us now. Stephen Whitmer, hello.
Hello.
All right, so you were one of the guys who broke this story about the data centers, and the big news on the data centers, not only did the IEDC approve 4 more of them, but now we got a name, sort of accidentally, I guess, with the big one in Franklin Township.
Yeah, that's right. The IBJ came out with an article yesterday saying that the document showed that Google is actually going to be taken over there. So I thought this was really interesting because when we start doing research on these data centers, we want to know how much energy they're actually going to consume. And we couldn't get any straight answers, so we just started looking at perfect examples and real data that they had. So take, for example, the one in New Carlisle. The one in New Carlisle, they're saying is going to be 2,200 megawatts, which when you do the math on it, is 1.5 million households worth of energy.
Okay, so this is one of the biggest argument right now. Well, there's numerous ones, but with the data centers is we clearly don't have enough power in this state. You're approving all these data centers, and they're using a colossal amount of power, which someone is going to have to pay for.
Yeah, not only that, but guess how many households are in Indiana total?
How many?
2.7 million.
So more than half.
Yeah, more than half that for just this one data center.
Wow.
And so the big question is, how are they going to power all of this?
Yeah, so let's come into that because I want to talk about this editorial that Braun had in the IBJ in just a second. But first, I think you hit a wonderful point. One of these data centers is basically
the equivalent to half the amount of homes in the entire state of Indiana.
Yeah, that's right. And they're a little bit delayed right now, so they're expecting to be completed by the end of next year.
Have you, in all the research you've done, all the documents you've looked through, because that's what you do, which, by the way, Indy_reporter_ is the account. Follow it on Twitter for all of this stuff. Have you uncovered anything on why they're so obsessed with these data centers? I don't see what the payoff is.
I don't see what the payoff is either. You got some of these 50 jobs maybe, and if maybe there are people coming in that are in the country, possibly H-1B workers. And overall, I can't figure out exactly why unless you put your tinfoil hat on.
Well, okay, do it. Go.
Well,
this is the place.
Well, you know what it would be is that they're going to be using AI for more of a security state. We saw a friend of the show, Michael Paul Hart. He wants to have a smart city.
What is that? What is a smart city?
So a smart city is basically a security state. Cameras everywhere. Everything's run off of the Mind Hive is what they said. There was actually an article or somebody from the city that said during their AI commission, and they said the only way for this to be accomplished is that you have to have a hive mind in the city controlling everything.
But the problem with this thing is now you start ushering in the social credit score, right?
That's right.
Like, did you post this? Yeah, we're going to shut down your banking.
Yep.
That's terrifying.
I mean, even look back in 2020 when we're going to be having vaccine registries, the mask debate.
This is not crazy. Look what they did in Canada, right? Trudeau shut down the banking for not only the protesters from the truckers, but the family members as well. So this is not unheard of, and that's a Western country.
Yeah, I don't think anything's conspiracy theory at this point anymore. After
It's
what
just
we saw.
a total mafia, basically.
Okay, so Braun then he's formed some sort of committee, right? Like on power and energy.
Yeah, their task force.
And we were talking about this the other day. The answer seems pretty simple. Just stop approving all these giant things that don't appear to have a financial payoff, and we might be okay with our power. But he wrote some big op-ed in the IBJ about this the other day.
Yeah, it was really funny. I was reading it and just shaking my head the whole time. It's like you're only telling part of the story. You're telling like the light puffy stuff about, hey, we're going to be having SMRs here. Coal will be a thing of the past.
So SMRs are these small modular reactors, right?
Yep.
It's nuclear power. And the state legislature gave these utilities, which are monopolies, basically carte blanche to be Dr. Frankenstein, in which all of their research will be paid for by the user, whether it works or not.
Yeah, that's right. Without even having a shovel in the ground, which is funny because he brings up a specific bill, HB 1007. And in this part of the editorial, he goes, any large load user of electricity that comes to Indiana will pay 80% of the additional cost of meeting their utility needs, which means if a data center comes in there, the data center has to pay for 80% of their energy needs. But he's only telling part of the story. The other part of the story is that the utility company, whichever one it is, they can recover 80% of their cost without even putting a single shovel in the ground.
And we pay for that.
100%.
Not the data center. Right. And the other part of this is that they're being disingenuous on is there's only so much power. And it doesn't matter if the data center's paying for their portion of the power. They're raising everybody's rate. They're sucking. They're essentially filling, if it's a pie, right? And they're filling that much of the pie. Well, then there's not enough for the rest of the people, so they're going to pay more anyway. He's totally disingenuous on this.
And even in that bill, it specifically says that they can start charging the ratepayer more without even finishing construction.
Wow.
Stephen Whitmer of the Indy Reporter is our guest. All right, you continue to dive into the IEDC. We laid out by the definition of money laundering earlier this week on the program. At this point, the IEDC appears to me to be a money laundering operation. Convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I'm 100% convinced now. More of these contracts that I start looking through. I mean, I found one specific guy who has a, 3, maybe 30 different LLCs with a bunch of business names.
This is always what you're finding, right? That there's all these, it seems like all these people have these, they're like local merchant type guys, but they somehow have 30 LLCs.
It is the common theme of what I am finding. It's very frustrating because I'm trying to figure out how they even get away with this. Like, is this even allowed? But no one's behind bars, so they
who's
must
in
be.
charge of looking at this? Like, if we had Doge, they'd come in the first.
Jerry. That's a great question,
Right?
Jerry.
Who's in charge of
Jerry, who oversees LLCs in the state of Indiana? Who's in charge of looking into this?
Got to be the greatest Secretary of State ever in the country, Diego Morales.
Boy, isn't that funny?
The same name keeps coming up.
Isn't that funny how that all seems to keep, because we kept saying, like, why do all these people keep giving him money?
Yep.
And you're right. Now you got all these guys, and a bunch of them he's somehow connected to who have all these LLCs. Well, who oversees LLCs in the state of Indiana?
Our friend Diego Morales. It's pretty interesting, though. There was one guy in particular who had all these different LLCs, all these different business names. And when you look through the contract of the companies that are connected to the IEDC, $143 million of no-bid contracts are going to his companies.
Currently Googling how to start a LLC.
How much?
Well, there are a few contracts that I couldn't exactly find, but just let's give a good number, $140 million.
Jeez.
No-bid contracts, too.
So there's no way it's like new Coke, right? The new IEDC. Nothing's changing.
No, and even if you look at one of the board members, Chris King, who got an IEDC contract maybe a few years ago, but also was pushing for the Hancock Data Center. Unfortunately, the people of Hancock County rose up and this isn't happening.
Yeah, so do you think Stephen Whitmer's our guest from the Indy Reporter, find him at Indy_reporter_ on Twitter. Do you think Braun actually has any idea about any of this, or is he just following marching orders? Because I have found, when he came out on the property tax thing and is at the end, the veto's pointless. It wouldn't do any good. You ask the question, why did you run for this then if you are admitting you can't do any? Does he have any idea what's going on? Is somebody just here, Grandpa, sign these papers? What, in your mind, how is this operating
I
at this
think
point?
that he is getting thrown all these talking points of how great is everything is going to be, too. I mean, he has a woman, Susie Jaworowski, who's the
Jaws.
Yeah, Susie Jaws.
So she ran for state house and lost.
Yep.
And all
And
of
the
these
primary.
people, they can't just go away. The guy who runs Okra now, Fred Glenn, he keeps running and losing for things, and then Micah put him in charge of Okra. That is our state government. Kent Abernathy ran for, State House and
Yep.
lost, and then ended up running INDOT for 2 months. That is what our government is. Jennifer Ruth Green, who
Yep.
ran for Congress and lost. Our state government is run by professional losers at this point.
Failing
That's what
up.
they do. They lose, and then they get appointed to these positions. Hey, the voters resoundingly rejected you. They said your services aren't needed. Well, au contraire, there's this appointed position right over there. Sorry, the Susie Jaws stuff. She's just at the tip of that, and you said that. It set me off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Politics is the only place where you can fail up. But Susie Jaws, she's the Secretary of Energy, but in Idaho, just to give everybody wanted to Google this, in Idaho, there was going to have these small modular reactors. But then the project got canceled because there weren't enough people that were going to sign up to use the small modular reactors, the utility companies, basically. And this was a NuScale project. Well, guess who she was an energy consultant for? NuScale from 2001 to 2024. So it is interesting because that means she's very aware about SMRs, very aware of who's going to sign up for them and how much they cost, but yet they're still giving us this pipe dream.
So not only are they bringing the data centers here, but chances are they're not going to be hiring Hoosiers.
Yep.
Also, they're going to be using more than half of the energy of the whole state.
Just one.
And we're going to be on the hook for a lot of that money.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
How does this benefit Hoosiers at all?
Yeah,
at all.
Know.
Yeah. All right. Find him on Twitter at Indy_reporter_. He is the best thing going on Twitter right now with Indiana politics and government. Stephen Whitmer, thank you.
Thank you.
It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show. It's our special Independence Day show. We're going to play Back It Up Terry. We're going to have some of our favorite fireworks moments. Jeff Boggs is in for Nige. Let's go.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Summertime's here, so get a hot summertime deal at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get Lincoln's employee pricing on most all new Lincolns. Get up to $20,000 off. Select 2024 Navigators. Up to $8,000 off. Select 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Come and see why the Roush family has served the community for over 53 years at Tom Roush Lincoln.
Navigator MSRP 105-195. Nautilus MSRP 60-195. 2025 Navigators excluded from employee pricing. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more.
By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it for free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensate for their testimonials, sponsored by Age of Learning.
Big stories locally, big moves in Washington. WIBC.com keeps you updated throughout the day with all the news that matters, plus traffic, weather, and more on your phone, your laptop, wherever you are. It's news when you need it.
Oh, boy, it's one of my favorite segments we do on the show. It's time to take a giant dump on township government and give you another example of how you, the taxpayer, are getting screwed that this thing is allowed to exist. It's Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Jerry Lopez, our old pal, Indy Spanglish on Twitter, in for Casey. And, you know, one of the things that came out of this abomination of a property tax bill was these public hearings in which it was confirmed to us what we already knew, is that township government is sitting on gobs and gobs of your money. It's taking lots of money from you. It's raising your property taxes, and it basically serves no purpose.
And they want more. We need more money.
Came out in all the hearings that township government, which you pay for in your property taxes, sitting on about $700 million of money. And again, by and large, township government, an antiquated, outdated system that in 1884 probably had some purpose when people traveled by horseback from one destination to the next, but today mostly just makes township trustees rich and powerful and lets them prepare for their next endeavor into public office. And if you want to fix what's going on with property taxes, as Mitch Daniels figured out almost 20 years ago and is laid out very clearly in the bipartisan Kernan-Shepard report, the wonderful document put together by former Democrat Governor Joe Kernan and Republican Chief Justice of the Supreme Court Randall Shepard, that township government needs to go away. It takes a lot of your money, and it does nothing that can't be done by someone else. And one of the things that it seems like every single year there's a new example, or examples plural, of this, is some township trustee who allegedly behaves in a criminal-like fashion and sucks out gobs and gobs of your money for personal benefit. They're not doing anything that benefits the community. They're not even wasting the money in terms of pet government projects. They're simply wasting it, using it, stealing it,
vacations, whatever.
Allegedly on themselves. And this is, like I said, multiple times this year we've had to report on this. But this, by the way, comes from WRBI Radio, and this is in Decatur County, Indiana. A former Washington Township trustee is facing several felony charges in Decatur County stemming from his time in office. Christian Rush is charged in Decatur Superior Court with 1 count of theft and 3 counts of official misconduct, all level 6 felonies. And it is alleging it here as a result of investigation. Rush was charged with $89,369.67 for unsupported medical expense reimbursements, payroll tax interest and penalties, unsupported cell phone reimbursements, and special investigative costs. Decatur County, Indiana is a very small county by Indiana standards. I'm guessing Washington Township also relatively small, which means almost $90,000 of alleged scheming and scamming on the taxpayers is a lot of money.
Yeah, and nobody saw this at all, right? Wait to the end. And how long had this been going on?
Well, and so this is the point, because we talked about with the guy down in Bloomington. Wasn't there some guy in Bloomington who we mentioned who's under some sort of investigation now, over $1 million over a period of time. The problem is with township government, there's no check and balance. The State Board of Accounts is essentially the check and the balance, because the way the township government works is there's a trustee who does all the stuff, and then there's some county-style board, usually of 3 people, who they meet a couple times a year and just approve whatever the guy says. There's nobody hard looking at the facts and the figures, and the State Board of Accounts is in charge of every government entity in the state, and they get to you probably, every 2 to 5 years, and they're not doing a deep comb. And so, thankfully, in this case, it appears the incoming township trustee, when this guy left, put in a complaint because this person, the incoming township trustee, saw Beverly Rivera, reported the fraud to the State Board of Accounts in 2023 and said, hey, this looks very off. Can you please come in and do some sort of deep dive on this? Otherwise, this entire time this guy was in office, he's allegedly doing this, and it's allowed to take place.
And never would have been caught.
But when you come to the state and go, hey, there's this layer of government that's super wasteful, and if we agree that we want to save people money on their property taxes, why don't we get rid of this, as a bipartisan commission almost 20 years ago said should happen? And then the state lawmakers look at you and stick their middle finger in your face, because the township government level is the training ground. It's the breeding ground for future politicians.
Right, but like you said, so I lived in Pike Township, right?
Oh.
But that's within Marion County. So
Sure.
what do they do that Marion County doesn't do?
That's a great question. And the answer for the most part, township government now does the following. They cut the grass in the cemeteries if you have a public cemetery. They administer poor relief to people in your township who qualify. And they are involved usually in some sort of, whether it's a township fire department or fire territory if you have one with your municipalities. That's about it. Again, great question. They don't fund
But
police.
some of these bigger townships are covered.
Yeah, they're all,
Pike Township doesn't have like a township fire department, right? Like,
but that's the point. They all could be covered. Like, there's nothing that these people do that you say you couldn't give this responsibility to someone else. People are already paying taxes on the thing. Make sure they're getting their money's worth for their taxes. And then if you eliminate the layer of government, you're going to be able to save people a bunch of money on their taxes. It exists. This thing exists because the lawmakers don't have the political will to look at this wasteful layer of government, which is exactly what happened in the days of Mitch Daniels, when he came out and said, we've got to get rid of this. And the Kernan Shepard report said, we've got to get rid of this. And these township government people, who are seen as the most likely challengers to state reps and state senators, screamed bloody murder. And the reps and senators said, well, we don't want this smoke, so we're just going to let this, what we all know is a giant waste. So what was it? Ed Delaney said, Democrat state rep, in the property tax debates, the hearings, there's something like, I think the number was 2,900 layers of local government, agencies of local government in the state of Indiana. That's ridiculous that 92 counties have something like 2,900 agencies of local government. There's no reason for it. But the thing necessary would be to get rid of it and get guys like this, keep guys from being able to allegedly abuse the taxpayer, and the many other numerous documented cases, many that have been adjudicated, right? And get rid of it. But they're not going to do that. And then they're going to look at you and have the audacity to say, well, we can't give you property tax relief because, well, the government's, the lights might not turn on, or the so-and-so wouldn't exist. It's all completely ridiculous.
and we're going to continue to hear stories like this throughout the year. Unfortunately, next year, there will always be another trustee that gets caught taking money from taxpayers.
And the bigger issue is, and we'll come back to this, and we'll talk a little bit about this later on in the program as it relates to the big bullcrap bill. The bigger issue, ultimately, it rests with us, because it's easy to scream about it, but the lawmakers don't fear you. And I mean in the sense of that's how they respond to everything. Why did they give in on the big, beautiful bill? Big, beautiful bullcrap bill. They gave in because they fear Trump and the unknown of what he's going to do more than they fear screwing you.
I mean, the SB1 is a great example of that. We had the whole rally, and at the end of the day, they didn't care what we said.
Exactly, because they believe you'll get over it and move on. You'll bitch, you'll moan, you'll get your property tax bill next year, you'll complain, but ultimately they fear these local school corporations and superintendents because they'll use kids as human shields, and they fear these township trustee people because they'll get mad and organize and run for public office. They fear them more than they fear you because they know at the end of the day, all you're going to do is huff and puff and bitch and moan.
And show up in a couple years and vote for me again.
That's absolutely all right. All right, we'll get back into the big bullcrap bill when we come back. We've got some incredible audio for you. We're going to go back in the time machine when we come back, Jerry. We're going to hear from Ross Perot. We're going to hear from Ron Paul. We're going to hear from Jesse Ventura. They all predicted that this stuff was going to happen. We just keep not listening to these people. There's nothing new under the sun. We'll play the audio for you next. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hey folks, Scott Wilson here from Wilson Farm Market, just 20 minutes north of Carmel. We're proud to bring you the freshest produce farmed right here in Indiana and across the Midwest. And don't miss our home-style fried chicken, scratch-made bakery, and a deli packed with ready-to-go favorites. Got a sweet tooth? Check out a variety of old-fashioned candies, the kind that brings back sweet memories from your childhood. At Wilson Farm Market, we're all about local freshness, friendly faces, and food that feels like home. Wilson Farm Market. That's Wilson Farm Market.
Guys, Hammer and Nigel here. Don't live with tiredness and low energy. Get your life back with testosterone therapy at Low T Center. Take the test, get fast results, and start TRT with Indianapolis's leading experts in men's health.
Now it's easier than ever with the new Synergen X Health app, an innovation in healthcare technology you won't find anywhere else. Download right now or book an appointment while the test is still free at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com.
Have recent storms caused damage to your roofing or siding? Cochran Exteriors is now offering free inspections to assess the condition of your home, from blown-offs to full replacements. Cochran Exteriors knows the insurance process and will make your home as good as new as fast as possible. Trust a company that was here before the storm and will be long after. For your free, no-obligation consultation, schedule today at CochranExteriors.com or call 317-ROOFING. Cochran Exteriors, referred for a reason for over 15 years.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. Trustandwill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
101 West Ohio, Indianapolis. CordellCordell.com.
Stay near home with Home Court Advantage for your heart. Rated #1 in Indiana 2 years in a row by Health Grades. Franciscan Health offers top-rated cardiac care because every heartbeat is extraordinary. Learn more at franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recyclers Studios, how hot will it be by the time we see fireworks tomorrow? Nearly a century in prison for a man who killed his toddler son in Lafayette. Who's out for tonight's Fever game against the Las Vegas Aces at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and how a local legend is gearing up for the Ultimate Food Challenge. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
He's still going. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This one big, ugly bill.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has spent 5 straight hours on the House floor ranting against President Trump's one big, beautiful budget bill, delaying the final vote this morning.
More than 17 million Americans at risk of losing health care coverage.
Now, the bill adds work requirements to Medicaid amid spending cuts Republicans say are necessary. It also will make the soon-to-expire 2017 tax cuts permanent with exemptions for tip and overtime income. Congressman Steve Scalise.
America's ready for a rebirth, and we're going to deliver it. President Trump is at the helm now. It's a new day.
Now, President Trump keeps trying to stop the war in Ukraine, just posting on Truth Social he plans to talk this hour with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. There are reports the president also plans a call with Ukraine's leader Volodymyr Zelensky. We got a better-than-expected report on the economy this morning. Instead of less hiring last month, there was a slightly big increase than in May. 147,000 jobs created, much bigger than the expectation of 110,000. The June unemployment rate dropped to 10th, also unexpectedly, to 4.1%.
That means the president is once again proving that the haters and the doomsayers don't know what they're talking about.
White House Council of Economic Advisors Chairman Stephen Myron just told Fox.
That means the president is once again proving that the haters and the doomsayers don't know what they're talking about.
Now, on Wall Street, the Dow's been up more than 100 points as the NASDAQ hits a new record high. The Supreme Court, which just finished its last term, plans to take up another big transgender case in the next term starting in the fall. a challenge to state restrictions on biological men competing in women's sports. Last term, the justices upheld bans on gender-affirming care for transgender youth. While in Chicago, police still searching for gunmen or maybe more after a late-night shooting outside a nightclub left 4 people dead, 14 wounded. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's heating up for the 4th. Sunny, 81 on Monument Circle. The high today is 88. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 10:02. The heat will probably be noticeable to you no matter where you are in Indiana over the next few days.
It's just not going to be as bad as it was in June. I'm Sean Herrick. That was the message on Thursday morning from Cody Moore at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis.
So our dew points, instead of being in the mid-70s, are probably going to be in the upper 60s, lower 70s, and then the feels like temperature, the heat index, those are going to stay in the mid-90s to around 100 degrees rather than being well over 100.
So even though it won't feel as oppressive, he says you'll still need to be staying hydrated and taking good care of yourself, especially if you have a medical condition that the heat can make worse. Sean Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A man in Lafayette is sentenced this week for murdering his 3-month-old son. The Tippecanoe County Prosecutor's Office said 29-year-old Eliasard Monias is getting 92 years in prison as part of a plea deal. Charges of aggravated battery, criminal confinement, and domestic battery against him were all dropped. In August, the toddler was found in a bucket of liquid laundry detergent near a trash can inside the home. Monias also admitted to wanting to kill his wife. A 33-year-old man is dead from a motorcycle crash in Henry County. The man found in the grass median of State Road 3 Wednesday. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities suspect speeding may have been a factor. An investigation there is ongoing. The Indiana Fever are coming off a Commissioner's Cup championship win against the Minnesota Lynx on Tuesday. They will now turn their attention to the Las Vegas Aces, who they will host tonight in Indianapolis.
And we've got to refocus. You know, we can't have a letdown after an exciting high.
Head coach Stephanie White there. The Fever will once again be without Caitlin Clark. She's already been ruled out for tonight's game and will miss her 4th straight contest as she continues to deal with a left groin injury. And Westfield resident Joey Chestnut is returning to the annual Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest this Friday with the hopes of either keeping or breaking his unbeaten record of 76 hot dogs eaten in 10 minutes.
We were able to get things figured out, and I'm back, baby.
That's Chestnut speaking to Fox Business Network's The Claman Countdown on Wednesday. He is a 16-time champion of the event on Coney Island. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level on the go and at WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey back in 1 minute.
There's something timeless about radio. It's where stories are told, ideas are shared, and communities stay connected. Our generation grew up with it, and we still believe in the power of tuning in. At Howard Bailey Financial, we believe planning for retirement should feel just as familiar and trusted. That's why we're bringing real conversations and practical advice to the airwaves. Join us every Sunday at 9 p.m. for our Retire with Purpose Radio Hour, right here on 93.1 WIBC. We'll talk about what really matters in retirement, income you can count on, choices you can feel good about, and a future that reflects your values. Because some things, like good planning and good radio, never go out of style. Howard Bailey Financial, retirement planning that speaks your language. Howard Bailey Securities, LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com. The Retire with Purpose Radio Hour is a paid placement on each airing station.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Well, I was going to be nice this segment, but somebody just sent me an email. Now I'm pissed off. Here we go. So get ready, pal. I am so sick of these people trying to defend this big bullcrap bill because, well, we had to fund the border, or we had to have the tax cuts renewed. Yeah, they could have done those by themselves. It would have passed in about 8 minutes, and we wouldn't be having this discussion. The Republicans had every opportunity to pass the border funding bill and the renewal of the tax rates and make some small cuts to offset the funding of the border bill, and we'd have been done in March. They didn't do that. Why? Because they wanted a bunch of stuff that would never pass on its own, that benefits a select few in the legalized vote buying and giveaways to donors and lobbyists. They wanted that stuff to pass, and they knew they had to pass it by holding the border and the tax rates hostage. And they knew that these weak, mealy-mouthed, all bark, no bite, Freedom Caucus people would give in at the end, which they always do. I am not going to accept the fact that I have to agree to adding trillions of dollars to the nation's debt and funding child sex changes and health care for illegal immigrants, which it is happening. Jerry, you are the neutral observer here, right? You defend the establishment all the time, much to my chagrin. You invited to speak at the Lincoln days. As the third-party neutral observer, we not laid out in specific detail how the public money for child sex changes and the health care for illegal immigrants is still happening?
100% it's happening.
Okay, thank you.
It never would have happened on its own, so they have to put it in with the border security and the...
I refuse to. Some guy sent me some long email about all of this, and I refuse to accept that I have to be okay with all this stuff happening to get the tax rates renewed. It's not like there's any new tax cuts for me in this. It's the same tax rates and border security. They did this, they being the Trump administration and the Republican leadership, did this deliberately because they knew these people don't have the stones to stand up and say, not today, Junior. They knew they would get this stuff through that couldn't get through on its own if they threw it all in at one. And I'm not going to sit here and be the bad guy because they say I don't accept that because that's bad governance.
And both parties do this, right? Anytime the omnibus and all. Why don't we ever? There's certain things that should be line item. Taxes should be line item by themselves. Border security should be line item by itself. There is no way that if you want to secure your country, you need to give Ukraine $10 billion. That should not be in the same bill.
Okay, so I just like it's not happening. And it amazes me when you put Trump's name on anything, people just suspend all sense of reason, logic, their previous ability to be pissed off and angry. It's the same thing happened during COVID. Well, what choice did he have? Well, he could have just not paid to shut society down. He didn't have to print that money. But because Trump did it, well, that's the only choice he had at the time. What about Fauci? Well, he was working with the best he had. Whenever Trump does something, the excuse-a-palooza police come out in full force. And that is why our country's in the shape it's in. Because when it's our team, when it's our guy, we will go to the ends of the earth to excuse it. When the reality is they're doing much of the same stuff that the other side does. It's just a different name on the product.
Yeah, and I'm a Trump guy, and I will defend him, but it's hard to defend free health care for illegals and mutilating kids. Like, there's no way that I can defend that at all. And the guy that I voted for is supposed to be against that stuff.
Okay, Kev, just because I know people don't listen linearly in the sense of they come in and out throughout the program, if you missed hour one, because I want everybody this weekend, when you go to your cookouts and everything else, if somebody tries to tell you that their illegals are not getting free health care, that Chip Roy clip, Kev, that we began the show with today, I want to play this again because this is how they're funding health care for illegal immigrants. This is the little parlor trick that they're doing in which they want to be able to tell you, see, we took it out of there. But the reality is they're still getting the money through these back doors and these back channels, and it's exactly how Planned Parenthood operates. This is the exact same thing. Chip Roy, who is one of these guys who always wimps out and votes for the thing. He hoots, he hollers, he screams, he roars, and then he does the thing. I don't know why. I mean, he's admitting what he's funding here. But here's Chip Roy, U.S. rep from Texas, explaining how illegals will get the free health care.
It is already unlawful for Medicaid to go to illegals, right? So you're not supposed to do it. But they backdoor into it, and we've got reports showing that millions get Medicaid. So what did we do? In the bill, there's a section, I can't remember the number, section 7.1, blah, blah, blah. And it does tighten it some. It puts some teeth into it. CBO scores it as saving $5 or $6 billion. So Senator Schmidt is not wrong. There's language in there that makes it better. And we fought for that in the House, and the Senate's got it. But the one thing we did in the House, and this is important, and it's a part of the Medicaid scam, right? You and all your viewers and all of us want to make sure the vulnerable for whom Medicaid was created and working class Americans, they get the ability to go get health care. But we don't want the able-bodied, the scammers to get it. We don't want insurance companies and fat cats to get rich on the back of this program. So here's how it works. The fact is, you take some of that money, the state money, they'll go spend it on illegal aliens. They won't use the federal money, which they're prohibited from doing, but they'll use their state money, but they'll still claim all of the provider tax dollars and the FMAP matching dollars and use that to fatten their coffers. So they end run the restrictions. In the House bill, we said you're going to lose your federal match if you continue to provide Medicaid to illegal aliens. And so, California, for example, the Senate stripped that out. They hid behind the parliamentarian, but they didn't fight hard enough to keep it in, and they didn't rework the language so that we can guarantee that those federal dollars don't flow to states that give money to illegal aliens. I hope that's clear.
Okay. So legal immigrants are getting health care, free health care, free, paid for by you, free to them, paid for by you. It will keep happening.
By the state, and then they'll just use the federal dollars for stuff that the state was going to spend that money on anyway, and then they can say the Fed isn't doing it.
I just feel like I'm the guy in the Joe Walsh song. Everybody's so different, I haven't changed. Why, Jerry, help me. Why do people suspend all sense of reason and logic when it's somebody like, why if Biden were doing this, we'd be up in arms, we'd be screaming about it, but because it's Trump, well, that's not happening. No, but it is.
So I hate to use the word cult because that gets thrown around a lot when you talk about MAGA and whatever, but there comes a certain time where people who join cults realize, like, oh no, I'm in too deep, the jig is up, I've been had. But now you've embarrassed yourself in front of all your friends and family by taking a stand, right? So at the end, you just drink the Kool-Aid and you die instead of standing up and going, this is not right. I've been had. And I think that's where a lot of people are. They're going down with the sinking ship because it's better than saying I was wrong.
All right, let's do some memory lane here, shall we? Because a lot of people have been predicting this stuff and talking about this stuff for a long time. All right, and I play this a couple times a year. I pull out parts of this interview. It's one of my all-time favorite interviews about politics. So Jesse Ventura was considering running for president in 2015. So this is the pre-Trump rise, et cetera, or kind of while it was starting. And he did an interview with a guy by the name of Graham Benzinger. And he talks about a variety of things, about how he was elected governor, about how third parties can win, about how you motivate people to vote differently than they voted before. And one of the things they were talking about is why nothing ever changes in the country and how these politicians are reliably completely worthless. And what he's describing here and about party leadership and how the parties control everything and the people don't think for themselves, this is exactly what happened in the big bullcrap bill. Fear of the special interest and bucking party leadership is exactly why this monstrosity got passed with all the stuff we just described in the bill. Go.
You notice I include them as them. I don't distinguish between the two parties because there is no difference.
After you were elected,
they're both owned by the same corporate ownership. It does. In other words, if you go to sports, if you bet on both teams in the Super Bowl, you're not going to lose, are you? Well, if you own both candidates, you're not going to lose, are you?
Well, and that's why you've said you wish politicians would have to wear NASCAR-type suits with the logos.
Yeah, I wish they'd require anyone running for president to wear a NASCAR suit with patches dictating who owns them. I mean, it's simple. When you see Jimmy Johnson, what do you see? Lowe's.
Right.
Then he's got all his other smaller patches around it. Well, if Jesse Ventura runs for president, there won't be a patch on the suit. It'll be clear white. I imagine some of my opponents wouldn't have enough suit to put the patches on. They may have to have a subordinate wear one too, so they could get all the patches on.
How much do you fault the candidates for that, and how much do you fault just the system today?
I fault the Democrats and Republicans and the system they've created. You notice I don't even discuss the candidates. Didn't do that when I went for governor either. I run against the parties because the candidates are nothing but puppets to the party. The party's got the strings. They're the puppets.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah, but the problem is Jesse would never win if he doesn't have a suit with names on it.
Well, that's the other side of it, right? Is the money has become so powerful and the legalized vote buying is so strong, and the ability to compete for an average person on any sort of office of significance is gone. It's out the door. I mean, you look at, like, who were the front runners in all these congressional races that we had. The what would that have been last year, right? So in the 5th, it's Jefferson Shreve, who's a gajillionaire, and Mike Speedy, who's a career politician who could get money from people, right? I'm sorry, what was that? Is that the 6th? The 6th district. I'm sorry. In the 5th, where you're from, it's Sparks and Chuck Goodrich, who's a gajillionaire, and our old Palsky Raju. We all know his ability to be able to raise money, right? Regular in the first up there, it was Marlon Stutzman and a local judge or a connected judge. I mean, like, it's just regular people have a very hard time having any opportunity to participate in the political process because money has made it largely impossible, which is why I think, even though it gets every instinct I have, I am going more and more towards saying that I am for publicly funded elections and getting the ability to buy politicians out of the process.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why my friend Curtis Hill didn't have a chance, right? The Braun money machine.
Yeah, you're right. All right, we're going to come back. I got some great audio from Ross Perot. I got some great audio from Ron Paul. But Nikki Kelly's going to join us next. We got a lot of local stuff to get to. You got this Rakita spending all this money to defend himself in front of the disciplinary commission. You've got this JAG program, which was helping so many kids going away. You've got the work from home stuff going by the wayside. A lot to get to. Nikki Kelly joins us next. Jerry's in for Casey, 93 WIBC.
Fireworks are in the air and on the air.
Worthy of looking at from the people of Indianapolis.
People are giving him this money because they want something in return.
Correct.
From political blow-ups
No.
to explosive takes.
This is CNN. President Trump's right. That's scummy.
Your front row seat to the summer's loudest moments.
It's not a coincidence that the news already has a mugshot.
93 WIBC.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1225. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1225. That's 800-777-1225. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. 800-777-1225.
You ready to build your custom dream home? Check out Joyner Homes based out of Greenfield. See one of their model homes in person anytime. It is a great way for you to experience the customization and quality of a Joyner Homes custom built home. Plus, you can meet with a new home specialist to learn about their building process. Available lots if you don't already have one. Find out about floor plans and where they build. Model homes are open 7 days a week from noon to 5 and walk-ins are welcome. Find out more at joynerhomes.com.
Make summer nights unforgettable with Indy Decorative Concrete. Get 50% off a stunning fire pit with our best stamped concrete patio package. Hurry, this hot offer ends September 1st. More details at indydecorativeconcrete.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for 1951 cabinetry. Visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or drexelin.com.
She says, baby, if you want to be wild, you got a lot to learn. Close your eyes, let them know.
Jerry, did you see how much money the Attorney General is costing you as a taxpayer?
I heard you and Casey talking about it. Really blew my mind.
Almost $500,000 in legal bills to defend his law license. Let's get to that and a whole bunch more. A lot going on in the state of Indiana. When we check in on the state of Indiana, we go to one of the best in the business. Nikki Kelly from the Indiana Capital Chronicle joins us now. Nikki Kelly, hello.
Good morning.
Okay, so you guys broke this story. Great reporting by you. It took you a long time to get the information that the Attorney General has run up almost $500,000 in legal bills defending his law license.
Correct. To 4 different law firms or attorneys. And to be fair, that's over 3 years. and 6 different investigations. So that's all lumped together.
Now, most of these come from not being able to keep his mouth closed, correct?
Yes, many of them are related to comments he has made publicly.
If he could just be quiet, we'd save money.
Okay, so
Perhaps.
she's never going to editorialize for you, Spanglish, no matter how much you want. I've been at this for years with her. That's why she's a good reporter. Okay, so let's get into this, though, because he's coming down on this, oh, it's a witch hunt, oh, it's the liberal this, the liberal that. The Indiana Supreme Court is all appointed by Republican governors, correct?
Yeah, they absolutely are. Obviously, he thinks a lot of the complaints being filed are by Democrats, and a lot of them are. Some of them aren't, though. I think Senator Liz Brown recently filed one, and she's a Republican. So, but yeah, he has issues not only with the complaints themselves, but the system. He's requested, changes to how the disciplinary system works. He's called into question bias by certain members for donations they've given or endorsements. And so, yeah, it goes a long way down the line.
You know what's interesting about this, though, is, and it's the hypocrisy, because when he was running against Curtis Hill in 2020 at the convention, Rokita, and as far as I know, no one held a gun to his head, and he was not a hostage victim when he made these statements. He basically labeled this commission as some sort of gold standard by which, Curtis was going to be unelectable because this commission was holding him to some sort of account. Am I misremembering that?
I mean, I'd have to go back and look at his exact statements. I do remember him saying, we need to move on to have, an attorney general who isn't in disciplinary trouble. I do remember that. But as you mentioned, the commission doesn't make any final decisions. The commission is a group of citizens and attorneys that are appointed. They decide whether anyone can file a complaint. You and I can file a complaint tomorrow. The vast, vast majority of those, more than 90%, are immediately dismissed with no one ever known. It's private. But if they feel like it actually warrants a charge, that's where the commission comes in, and they file a formal complaint, and then it's like a little mini trial, right? They try to prosecute it, and there's a hearing judge and everything. But ultimately, the 5-member Supreme Court is who decides, A, if they feel they broke any sort of attorney conduct rules, and B, what punishment they should get.
Nikki Kelly from the Indiana Capital Chronicle is our guest. We're talking about this article they have about how much the Attorney General has spent in legal fees in front of the Disciplinary Commission, the Indiana Supreme Court. So can you walk us through this? Because I get this every so often on Facebook or Twitter, people who buy Rokita's bull crap about his First Amendment rights. And what I try to tell people is when I come in here each day, the Federal Communications Commission labels certain things I cannot say, and I choose to opt into that as a radio broadcaster. I can walk on the sidewalk on Monument Circle and say a whole bunch of things that I can't say here, but I choose to be a radio broadcaster. The Disciplinary Commission is sort of the same way, right? Like if you choose to be an attorney, you willfully are giving up certain ways of conducting yourself, or you're adhering to certain ways of conduct that I or Jerry don't have to.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, when you take the bar exam and pass and are an attorney in good standing in Indiana, there are professional rules of conduct that you have to file, and they curb your ability to say anything and everything. A prosecutor can't go out and say whatever he wants and taint a jury pool. They would get in trouble for that, and so. As an attorney, Todd Rokita has to follow these rules. Now, obviously, he disagrees with the interpretation of what he's saying as applying to some of these rules, but as an attorney, he definitely, takes an oath to uphold them.
Okay, let's switch gears real quick. Nikki Kelly from the Indiana Capital Chronicle is our guest. You guys had a great deep dive, and you're one of the few people I actually saw that covered this in depth, which is too bad, but that's why you guys are so valuable, about one of the few government programs that I actually think was working pretty well, which is the Jobs for America's Graduates. They're basically done so now, right? Braun shut them down. They moved them out of DWD. Department of Education said they're not going to cover them anymore. This is a program that helped a lot of kids, and for some unknown reason, they just pulled the plug on it.
Yeah, it's a big loss. I think everyone, even those in the administration, agree it was successful. Now, it certainly had expanded very quickly under Governor Holcomb, and some of that was using COVID dollars. And so there certainly were some financial questions about whether you could continue it at the expanded, I guess, the expanded role of the program. However, at the same time, everyone's saying, oh, budget, budget, budget. But the fact is, to be very clear, the Braun administration could say today, we want to fund that. They included a $50 million sort of catch-all education fund called the Freedom and Opportunity Education Fund in the budget. It's $50 million a year, and it can be used for a variety of programs, including JAG. Dropout prevention is an option to use it for. They're choosing not to. So, that's on them and the decision they've made.
Did they give any, the article, they appeared pretty tight-lipped about it. Like there wasn't some, we have this egregious thing happened, or this is why it was wasteful. It didn't seem like you guys got a clear answer on why they're shutting this thing down that has literally helped tens of thousands of kids stay out of being wards of the state.
No, like I said, they've been very clear about the fact that the money had grown using that one-time federal money, and that was not sustainable. And I think everyone understands that. But in terms of taking away its line item, even for the base funding that existed pre-COVID, that has not been explained in really any manner other than just quote, budget issues and priorities. I assume they want to spend the money on other things. And, I guess we'll see as the budget year goes on what they spend that $100 million over the biennium on.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty successful program, and it gave a lot of these kids an opportunity to get careers that keep them out of being dependent upon the government. Before we go, you guys had a big article about Braun ending the work from home for most of the state workers. Have you found a lot of pushback on this? People are like, hey, it's been 5 years, time to get to work. What has sort of the response to that been from the governor for state employees?
Well, they rescinded basically all hybrid agreements. Now you're coming in all 5 days, or you're not coming in at all any of the 5 days. You're kind of all remote or not. The big concern I'm hearing from employees, and I can attest to this as seeing the parking lots the last couple days, are whether there's enough parking. That's a real issue.
Yeah.
When you have 30,000 people. State employees. So that's a real issue is parking. There's some concern about literally enough desk space, enough IT stuff. And so when I talked to the Secretary of OMB, she said, for instance, they might use hoteling, which is this concept of sharing desks. Maybe someone works 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then someone comes in and works 3 to 9, whatever, so that you're basically sharing space. Those are all things that are playing into the decision. Overall, they think it's worth it for the collaborative process that employees go through. They have identified a few specific roles that are going to be remote full-time, like those who work in call centers. They say productivity-wise, they're much better at home. So that's an example of one that they're like, nope, you guys could be fully remote.
Nobody reports on Indiana politics and government like the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, and that's because they have someone highly competent running the show. Her name is Nikki Kelly. Thank you, Nikki.
Thanks. You guys have a good 4th.
Yeah, you do the same. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show this Saturday and Sunday at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory on West Minnesota Street. The best dealers in the region, hundreds of tables, just $6 for adults, kids 12 and under free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. This Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Patiently waiting. Sunny skies. It's 82 in downtown Indy. Your high today is 87. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending now at 10:31. Congressional Republicans are waiting to cast their ballots on President Trump's budget bill. Fox's Peter Ducey reporting from the White House.
Vice President J.D. Vance is now lifting the veil on the mindset of Republican lawmakers who are stuck sitting there in the House chamber listening to Hakeem Jeffries talk before they are allowed to vote. Vance posted this: GOP congressman just texted me. I was undecided on the bill, but then I watched Hakeem Jeffries' performance, and now I am a firm yes. Up early here at the White House, comms director Stephen Chung, who writes Tranquilo, which means don't worry, no panicins. The One Big Beautiful Bill is a generational bill that will bring prosperity to all Americans. This is the very definition of America First and what the people voted for.
Democrats have argued the bill would cause millions of Americans to lose Medicaid and other key services such as food stamps. At least 4 people are dead following a drive-by shooting in Chicago Wednesday night. The shooting happening during a listening party for a local rapper at a nightclub. Police have not yet announced an arrest in the case. 2 men in Florida are now charged with plotting a mass shooting in Washington, D.C. after someone discovered threatening messages on social media. The FBI was made aware of the plan of an attack on lawmakers as the 2 men called for a bloodbath. The men taken into custody in the St. Petersburg area. And AAA says a record number of travelers are hitting the road for this 4th of July weekend. They project over 72 million people will travel for the holiday, and they recommend drivers to do some routine maintenance and pack an emergency kit before hitting the roads. I'm Jarrett Lewis on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
For just a moment, imagine life without joint pain. Erase the constant ache in your knees, hips, or shoulders. Imagine moving with ease, unafraid of that next jolt of pain. At QC Kinetics, we believe your health is your greatest investment, and we're here to help you regain it. Our advanced regenerative therapies revitalize damaged joint tissue with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. It's not just about relieving pain, it's about restoring your freedom and confidence. Imagine golfing, hiking, or just walking without hesitation. Imagine waking up every morning without pain holding you back. With QC Kinetics, you can turn those dreams into reality by investing in something priceless, your health. Find out if you're a viable candidate by requesting a free consultation today. Call 463-842-1361. What's your health worth to you? If it's worth a free call and consultation, here's the number: 463-842-1361. 463-842-1361.
I had changed the locks, didn't even know where she was living. And then one night she calls to say she's getting treatment. Can I drive? I almost hung up. But then I thought, that's my kid. I chose to put away the hurt and the fear and just see my girl.
Addiction is a disease. Standing by a loved one as they fight it will test your faith, patience, and sanity. But it's possible when you see the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
All right, we're going to go back in the time machine here because in politics and government, there is nothing new under the sun. Plus, I love old stuff. The world used to be a better place. Makes me feel better and more assured about my deeply held belief on that. It's Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Jerry Lopez on Twitter at Indy Spanglish in for Casey. All right, so obviously this big bullcrap bill is going to pass, and it's going to add, all these trillions and trillions of dollars in national debt. We've laid out to you with factual data about how it works, that illegal immigrants are going to keep getting government-funded health care.
That blows my mind, Rob. Well, we are deporting people. This is what we elected him on. Close the border. Let's deport illegals. But if you happen to stay by chance, free health care.
Okay, so let's address something that I've heard people talk about in the YouTube chat. I've seen it on social media. And the people say, well, I'm against illegals getting government-funded health care, but how do you address the fact that if somebody shows up to the hospital, you got to give them health care? Okay, first of all, I don't think that should be a thing. I think if we're a country of laws, Trump said this in his original debate.
I don't mean to cut you off, but an illegal shows up with a gunshot when you say sorry about you.
Well, are we serious about
You can't let people die. We're a civilized country.
Are we serious about America being for Americans?
Yeah, but we're civilized.
Are you serious about America being for Americans?
America first.
Trump said this, and I've never heard somebody refute this ever. Either we have a country or we don't.
Agree. That starts with the border.
Right? Okay. But if we're going to accept, because I believe I would never be able to get that passed.
It would never pass.
Right? Okay. So I'm going to move that to the side, right? However, and my wife's mother is a very distinguished, renowned nurse in the greater central Indiana area. She works at a very well-known medical institution.
Okay.
And she tells me this all the time about the illegal immigrants that they are forced to treat in this facility. And she said the reason it is not that they're treating people who have life or death injuries. It is these people begin to live in the hospital.
You just show up to the ER for everything.
And they live in the hospital because the hospital knows that the government will pay for everything.
Reimbursements, yes.
So they are incentivized to run every test and keep these people in for as long as they can. And they treat the people who are getting the government-funded health care far different than they treat the people on traditional insurance.
On private health care.
Because they get you out. The insurance company will fight them on everything.
Correct.
They
fight us on everything.
Exactly.
And I'm paying.
Right? So at the
That's
very
a valid point, dude. You need to stop making sense.
Yeah, see, this is my point, right? And my wife's mother and I have this conversation almost every time I see her about the amount of money that we are forced to waste as taxpayers. Not because we are treating the terminally ill. That's what they always make it about. Like, what? You want to kick people out of the hospital?
Die? Yeah.
Right. No, it's that the hospital, the medical facilities are incentivized to do health care different for illegal immigrants than they are for people, law-abiding citizens.
So we just send an invoice to the feds. They pay us back for everything we've done because this person doesn't have insurance.
That's right. Bingo. All right. So let's go back 33 years in the time machine. Doesn't it seem hard to believe that 1992 was 33 years ago?
Dude, I was in second grade.
And you were in second grade?
Yeah. I just turned 44 last week.
Well, you were old for second grade then, because I feel like I was
Maybe.
in second grade.
I feel like Ross Perot was running at that time, and it was second or third grade.
Were you 14 and in the second grade? What were you doing, dude?
I am 12.
Okay. Regardless. So Ross Perot obviously runs this upstart campaign, and he resonated with people because he told truth. And he talked about what was going on in the country. And he talked about the future of the country if we continued down the path that we were currently on, which sadly we made the choice to do. And I firmly believe that if Ross Perot had not quit, people forget Ross Perot was in the lead in a lot of polls. A variety of things happened. He quit, and then he came back. He still did very well, but if he had not quit, I think he might have had a chance to actually win the presidential election. Maybe not. You never know how people get at the end of the thing, but the amount of people that voted for him when he derailed his own campaign, there's merit to this. However, he ran on the idea that we cannot continue spending money the way that we are. We cannot continue wasting the people's money on things that are not vital to the running of the country. And I want to play you this clip from 1992 where he's talking about the danger of $4 trillion of debt.
Wow. Come a long way from that.
We're at 37 now, and by the time this bill is done in 10 years, we'll be at about 60 trillion. And listen to him talking 33 years ago about out-of-control spending.
I believe that there is so much waste around here. And again, every time you get into, see, I'm the only guy that talks numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. Nobody else will even talk about it. As I've said, it's like a crazy ant in the basement. Everybody knows she's there, but nobody talks about her. I'm talking about it. Then I can talk, with endless numbers about it. And then when I finish, typically the establishment press said, he didn't tell us enough. I just break up. Nobody else said anything, and I haven't said enough. Let me just talk in general terms today, since no matter how many numbers I give the press right now, it doesn't satisfy them. Number one, we cannot spend our children's money. We are looking on the edge of a revolution of young people who are starting to realize that we, our generation, have put them $4 trillion in debt, and they don't like it, and they shouldn't. Don't we love our children as much as our parents loved us? Sure we do. We cannot spend their money. Now then, that's the easy decision. The hard decision is, how do you fix it? You've got to have, instead of a deteriorating job base in the economy, which is what the last 12 years have given us, we've got to have, first, you've got to stop the decline, stabilize it, turn it into a growing job base, growing industrial base. The only way to do that is to make the finest products in the world. Now, that's something I know a lot about. We've got to put everybody that's breathing back to work in a good, solid job. Then you've got a growing tax base. But in the meantime, you've got to have a real grab and run that stops the deficit spending. so you don't lose any more financial blood. Then with the growing tax base, you pay off the $4 trillion, and we leave the American dream to our children, which we all wanted.
I think that is the thing that makes me most mad about what these politicians are doing, is that they're screwing people who will never have a vote on this. These future generations are going to be under such burden because of the choices being made today. And it sucks that Jim Banks and Todd Young and Victoria Spartz and Jim Baird and Rudy Yakum and Marlon Stutzman and professional office hopper Aaron Houchin and Messmer and Jefferson Shreve hate future generations, hate my kid and my grandkids so much that they're not willing to do the right thing.
Yeah, this reminds me. You ever hear of these crappy parents who like put bills in their kids' names and ruin their kids' This is what it feels like.
Right.
It feels like that. We are putting our bad social credit in our kid's name. As long as we can keep the lights on now, you can deal with it later on, kid.
All right, back in the time machine again. This is Ron Paul 13 years ago talking about what's going on in the country. This is when he was running for president in 2012, and a lot of what he says is just getting more true by the day.
In many ways, we're murdering ourselves by our spending and our extension of our troops around the world. And now we still accept this notion, which has to be challenged. Entitlements are not rights. You have a right to your life and your liberty and your property, but not entitled. Nobody's entitled to somebody else's effort. So as long as that exists, you know, a token change in Washington won't make the difference. The government we have in Washington is a reflection of the people's attitude. But the good news is the people's attitude is now changing significantly. Even those who are on the receiving end of the entitlement system are very frightened because they know that the Treasury is bare. And the people who have been paying the bills, they're sick and tired of paying the bills.
Yeah, this is the reality, is in 10 years, less than that now, on the new estimates, Social Security and Medicare are done. So then what? We're all acting like this is not happening. We're all acting like all this money spent, all this debt we've created, we all act like it isn't owed back to somebody. We're all acting like these programs we set up aren't running out of money. And so these Republicans today that are sticking their chest out and acting like we've done this and we've done that and we've cut these taxes. No, you've screwed future people. You've screwed me. You've screwed Kevin. You've screwed Jerry.
And our kids.
And their kids and their kids and their kids. And it makes me want to puke that people like Jim Banks and Todd Young are out there bragging as though they've done something big or noble. No, all you've done, Mr. Dine and Dasher, all you've done is a bunch of legalized vote buying to help yourself in the moment and make people like you today, knowing that somebody else, it's the equivalent of taking a dump, going into somebody else's house, taking a dump on the floor, and going, somebody better clean that up. I hate all of these people. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show. It's our special Independence Day show. We're going to play Back It Up Terry. We're going to have some of our favorite fireworks moments. Jeff Boggs is in for Nige. Let's go.
Just like fireworks light up a celebration, the stunning selection from PA Jewelers adds brilliance to every moment. With prices up to 70% lower than traditional stores, they offer an unbeatable selection of watches, fine jewelry, custom designs, and estate pieces. Each item is individually inspected, professionally cleaned, and sold for lasting wear. Celebrate freedom, beauty, and a little extra shine this Independence Day. Browse their expanded selection at PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg. Find them online at pajewelers.jewelry.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
What are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Seminars Thursday, July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30, stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m., stop smoking seminar Seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. That's 800-917-8730.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them. They have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. And that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris,
Texas,
then it's off to Rome,
Georgia,
and you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin,
Ohio.
Right now, save up to $494 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
Trump country is booming. We're building, hiring, and winning in Indiana because energy tax credits put America first, bringing manufacturing jobs home and creating a stronger middle class.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country. More production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers.
And America's comeback depends on American energy. Senator Young, keep what works. Don't repeal energy tax credits. Paid for by Built for America.
Recovery is a journey, and no one walks it alone. The Supporting Sobriety podcast helps friends and families understand addiction, offer support, and care for themselves along the way. Hosted by Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Tomorrow is the 4th of July. That means it's the hot dog eating contest. And we think about eating stuff. Boy, this guy, well, you're not as big as you used to be, though.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Jason Hammer from the Hammer and Nigel Show. You've kept the weight off. It's very impressive this time.
Well, remember, that was part of the whole new way that I was doing this, because in the past, I've done this a couple different times. I'd lose 50 pounds, like, all right, mission accomplished. Put the big George W. Bush banner in the background, and I'll see you bitches at Ponderosa.
And when we were talking about this before. When I first met you many years ago at another radio station, you were very, very skinny.
Yes, I used to be an athlete, believe it or not, back in the day. And then I discovered, well, my playing days are done. I'm going to get drunk, eat, and pump chicks.
Yeah.
And
so
there wasn't enough of the last to warrant what was going on in the front half. So gained a little weight.
Life's all about choices, isn't it? So the hot dog eating contest is tomorrow. It's 4th of July. Joey Chestnut back in the hot dog eating contest.
Yes, back in. And we're going to talk about this on our sports betting podcast that we're going to record here after your show. It'll be out by 1 o'clock today. I'm seeing like the over-under on hot dogs that you can bet on that Joey Chestnut is going to eat anywhere from 71.5 to 70.5.
So gross.
Like 10 minutes, I think, is what's on the clock.
Is that hot dogs and buns?
Yes.
So it's 7 hot dogs a minute. Ugh. Now, one of the things, like people see this and go, well, I could eat a lot of hot dogs. No, you couldn't. Like if you could...
You can eat 5 hot dogs. That's a lot.
If you could eat, I mean, but that's like 1 minute. He's doing that every minute.
Right.
For 10 minutes.
And he's like dunking the dogs in the water, making them mushy, and like it's pure carnage, and I'm here for it.
I wonder what the after effects are like the next day.
We've asked him about this. He's like, you know what? You take a lot of antacids, you have a couple big blowouts, and you've got like your trainer guy, and I mean, he's not a fat guy.
No.
He's the average built dude.
He's an amazing story because this is a guy who, let's face it, he's not Brad Pitt, and yet he has, I mean, and he's not Michael Jordan in the sense of he's not out on a basketball court or playing in major league stadiums, yet he has, I don't know what his financial situation, but he's made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he is a household name. You say his name, and it's like Santa Claus, right? You know, once a year, Joey Chestnut is going to come down the chimney and eat a bunch of hot dogs. And around the world, you say his name, or this country at least, you say his name. People, for the most part, know who he's the hot dog eating guy.
And he's moved to Indy now. He's a
Westfielder, I think. Yeah, it's Westfield's own.
He's one of ours now.
And so only in America could this guy who looks like Joe Everyman, who has this just kind of obscure talent where he has some, and I'm not saying this is negative, but he has some freak show ability to consume mass quantities of food, become a millionaire.
Right. He is very well off. He is the best in the world at what he does.
Are there foodie groupies? Like when he goes places, are chicks trying to holler at Joey Chestnut?
I think there are. I think absolutely there would be.
Scroobies for everything.
I mean, that's
right.
true.
Absolutely.
He is famous. I mean, he is, what was a couple years ago? Remember he had the thing on Monument Circle when he was selling the sauces or whatever.
Yeah.
And people were lined up to get their photo with him.
You don't think if Joey Chestnut walked into the Vogue on a random Thursday night, he wouldn't leave with the hottest chick in that joint?
Yeah,
probably.
Absolutely. And he would have no chance with that chick if he weren't the hot dog eating
Correct.
eating king.
Yeah. And you could say that about a lot of people, right? Like, for a long time, like, people thought, oh, Dale Jr. is so sexy.
Yeah.
If that wasn't Dale Earnhardt's kid and he was Dale that worked at Wendy's, nobody would give him a second look.
Yeah, you're right. A big part of it is, and in this case with this guy, and good on him, have you ever asked him, because I know he's been on your show many times, have you ever asked him how he discovered he could do this?
No, but that's a great question. Next time we have him on, because he usually comes in studio around Big Ten football championship time to do the shrimp eating contest for St. Elmo. So we'll ask him that next time he comes in.
And you think about like the shrimp eating contest. So I had to do that at the Big Ten women's, or not the Big Ten, the women's NIT tournament. I was in that shrimp eating contest. And I think there were 4 or 5 of those shrimp in that thing. And then you and I had the shrimp eating contest several years ago when Chestnut was on your show, in fact.
Yes.
And it looks simple, but then you start trying to do it, and it's just like with that St. Elmo sauce, which is fire.
Oh, yeah.
It's a incredibly hard thing to do.
And you can't think about it.
Well, there has to be a regimen too, right? Because how do you eat 15 hot dogs and not get full?
Well, and you got to worry about choking.
Right.
That's true.
I mean, they have medical people up there on staff. And remember, a few years ago, tell me this is the most American badass thing ever. Some weird protester runs up on stage at the hot dog eating contest. Joey puts him in a headlock, like roughs him up a little bit, and continues to eat the dogs in one. Like the only way that would have been more patriotic is if he would have sat down and gave birth to a bald eagle.
So you can bet on this.
Yes, and we're going to break that down in our podcast, Degenerates Next Door, because I've already got action. My bet is locked in.
That's hilarious.
So we'll have that for you. Who else would you consider to be the best in the world at what they do?
So you and I had this conversation off air. I would say Scotty Scheffler is definitively the best golfer in the world. Like, that's not even close. He's
By far and away.
Oh, yeah. He's top 10 every week. He wins usually one major a year. He's winning 3 or 4 tournaments in a row. Definitively, he is the best golfer in the world. There's no doubt. He's the most dominant golfer for a period of time since Tiger.
And we were discussing, it's hard to pick anybody that plays a team sport.
Right. I mean, there's not that generational player. Like, okay, team sport, but we all agree Michael Jordan was the best in the world in his prime.
Yeah. Wayne Gretzky was the best hockey player for about 10 years.
I say Roger Federer was the best tennis player there for a while and won everything.
Solid pick
You
right
said
there.
Floyd Mayweather, same thing.
Right. Go back 10 years ago, LeBron James was the best basketball player. Wasn't even close.
Yeah, that's right. But now, I don't think in any of these sports you can look at any individual and say they are by far the best at what they at their sport in any of the team sports.
Because we thought about Joker of Denver, the big fella Nikola Jokic, but he wasn't the MVP this year. Some would say SGA has surpassed him now.
Or you said Patrick Mahomes, but same thing. Like, how much better is he than Josh Allen?
Yeah, that's right. Joey Chestnut is the level of, if you think about the most dominant players, hot dog eating is a sport. Is it a sport? It is
Competitive
a sport.
eating is a fringe sport.
Okay, so we'll include him in there. I mean, he is, as ridiculous as this sounds to say, but he is as dominant as Tiger Woods was in his prime, as Muhammad Ali was in his prime, as Wayne Gretzky was in his prime, as Michael Jordan was. He is that level of better than everybody else.
Can you bet on win or lose? Because he's like minus 2,000.
It's not even worth your time to bet on win or lose. Yeah.
What's coming up this afternoon?
Man, it's our big Independence Day show. The annual playing of Back It Up Terry. Great moments in firework history. Jeff Boggs is in for Nige. Let's go.
It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Most insurance accepted.
Guys, Hammer and Nigel here. Don't live with tiredness and low energy. Get your life back with testosterone therapy at Low T Center. Take the test, get fast results, and start TRT with Indianapolis' leading experts in men's health.
Now it's easier than ever with the new Synergen X Health app, an innovation in healthcare technology you won't find anywhere else. Download right now or book an appointment while the test is still free at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com.
At Kingdom Roofing Systems, they do more than just roofing. They believe in honoring those who've served. Kingdom Roofing Systems proudly participates in the Roof Deployment Project, which provides a brand new roof to a deserving U.S. veteran or active duty service member, absolutely free. You can help give back to those who have given so much. If you or someone you know has served, owns their home, and is in need of a new roof, apply today at kingdomroofingsystems.com/RDP. Kingdom Roofing Systems, building roofs, honoring heroes.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recyclers Studios, weather remains warm. Just how hot will it get for the July 4th holiday? Who state police arrested for a shooting on I-70 last weekend? How a road rage ends with an arrest in Clark County, and who the Fever will be without tonight in their game against the Las Vegas Aces. You're listening to 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. Time for Fox News. It's 11 o'clock.
He keeps talking and talking and talking. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and what's now a 6-hour rant on the House floor.
Join us as Democrats and stand up for what is right.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries cheered on from the left, calling President Trump's one big, beautiful budget bill ugly, saying Republicans are
trying to take a chainsaw to Social Security, a chainsaw to Medicare, a chainsaw to Medicaid, a chainsaw to the health care of the American people.
Claiming millions could lose coverage and food assistance and cuts to Medicaid and other programs. GOP lawmakers say cuts are in waste and in fraud and abuse and add new work requirements. The bill also extends soon to expire 2017 tax cuts with exemptions for tip and overtime income.
We are finally going to give and restore that great American dream and that hope for those families who have been waiting way too long that help is coming.
Congressman Steve Scalise, Republicans plan to vote and pass the bill once Jeffries' long speech finally ends. President Trump's working the phones this morning, pushing for that bill, and now trying again to stop Russia's war in Ukraine. He had a call last hour that may still be going on with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says he hopes to speak to the president about American weapons supplies tomorrow or in the coming days. The Supreme Court is going to take up a new transgender case 2 weeks after upholding bans on gender-affirming care for minors. A new case next term deals with sports.
The Supreme Court says it will take a look at lower court rulings in favor of trans athletes in Idaho and West Virginia. More than 24 states have passed laws barring trans women and girls from participating in certain sports competitions, and some of those laws have been blocked in court.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. More Americans were hired last month than in May, and more than expected. 147,000 jobs created. Unemployment rate dipped down to 4.1%, and on Wall Street, a big surge for the Dow. The Nasdaq at a record high. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Dealing with the holiday heat. Sunny and 84 in the Circle City. The high today, 88. Feels like 87 at the moment. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:02. It's July, so of course it's hot in Indiana. Cody Moore is a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis. Here's what he says lies ahead.
Starting tomorrow, highs are going to be above that 90-degree mark once again. However, we aren't expecting things to be as oppressive as they were with the previous week's heat wave.
He says dew points are lower, which means it will feel less humid and less muggy than it was in the last couple of weeks of June. State police say they've arrested a 19-year-old in connection to a shooting that took place on I-70 in East Indy Saturday. Troopers found a man in a Toyota Camry on the right shoulder of the interstate with a gunshot wound to his shoulder and bullet holes in the side of his car. Through their investigation, troopers were able to arrest Jonathan Avila Molina. He faces multiple preliminary charges, including attempted murder and unlawful possession of a firearm. There were also guns seized from his vehicle. A man in Clark County with a temper on the roads leads to an arrest. Johnette Cruz has more.
A road rage incident that happened Wednesday led to a felony arrest for operating while intoxicated, along with other charges.
I-65 southbound near the Henryville exit, somebody had observed a Dodge Dakota brake check. Another vehicle, a semi-truck, got in front of the vehicle, slammed on his brakes, caused the semi-truck to hit the pickup truck, then fled.
Sergeant Kerry Holes with Indiana State Police with the details. The driver, Nathaniel Richard Long of Lima, Ohio, initially fled the scene but eventually stopped after entering a drive-through lane of an Arby's. Long was booked into the Clark County Jail. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
There were talks of the Pacers possibly getting a former number 1 overall pick. Well, center DeAndre Ayton is going to be signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. Reports say that Ayton is signing a 2-year deal, which includes a player option. He's set to make $34 million next season. The Indiana Fever are once again going to be without their top player for a game. Caitlin Clark will miss her 4th straight contest as she continues to recover from a left groin injury. Head coach Stephanie White.
I don't want this to be something that lingers, that we come back too soon. We want to make sure that she is 100% ready to go and that we put her long-term health and wellness as at the forefront.
The Fever are coming off a Commissioner's Cup championship win against the Minnesota Lynx. Indiana has won 3 of its last 4 games and will host the Las Vegas Aces tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros, and a sincere thank you to our loyal customers for helping us to another record year. We recently saved a 62-year-old retiring couple over $800 monthly when compared to their COBRA offerings. We recently saved a family of 4 over $400 monthly when compared to their $7,500 deductible program on the ACA, and you know that's still Obamacare. We recently saved a small 4-man manufacturing company over $1,000 monthly and gave them better coverage. We feature coverages guaranteed to age 65, low out-of-pocket expenses, the largest networks in the country, and you can sign up anytime. If you are retiring early, self-employed, or need coverage for your small group, call us at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. What do you got to lose? Call us, 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. As always, God bless America, common sense government, and peace through strict.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
So it looks like Diddy's staying in the pokey. A lot of people shocked by that. Let's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Jerry Lopez. And I'm on Twitter at Indy Spanglish. In for Casey. Kev is here. So the big news yesterday, obviously, in the Sean Combs trial, he was found guilty of the two, what I think we're kind of seen as the lesser charges related to prostitution. Now, he is looking at potentially up to 10 years in prison for each one of those charges. I think most people don't think he's going to get that or anywhere near it. But what's interesting is, and the New York Post, amongst many others, the Sun, amongst many others, has detailed stories on this. He was denied bail, which came as a shock, I think, to everyone in the courtroom, even though he had agreed to post $1 million in bail. He would have had to surrender his passport, an ankle monitor, restrict his travel. I mean, he would have been pretty locked down. But what this judge did, and of course, obviously, the judge will have a say in this, is the judge cited his propensity for violence as a reason for electing to keep him incarcerated.
Yeah, I think the reality here is the judge knew the diddler would be out and he would be on a rampage, right? I mean, he has money, access, prone to violence, probably, befriends some of these people in the industry that do have goons and gangs, and he needs to give some of these people that came out and talked a little bit of a head start.
Yeah, the judge said, quote, even if the defendant was solely required to show that he is not a danger to the community, he could not meet that burden. The defense conceded the defendant's violence. You full-throatedly, in your closing arguments, told the jury that there was violence here.
Yeah, and people will probably be suicided, maybe. But did you know that James Comey's daughter was involved in the Diddy case and the Epstein case?
Isn't that wild that obviously you're not going to get anything as it relates to Epstein, and now Sean Combs going to skedoodle on out the door in large part with a fraction of the information known about who was there and who did what, and so I know you've got some hot takes on this here, but before I do this, Alan Dershowitz, he's probably best known as being part of the OJ Dream Team. Now, he defended Donald Trump, too, at his impeachment, in one of them, the second one, maybe one of them. I can't remember which one. But obviously one of the most renowned legal minds in the world. He said the government really is to blame on why Diddy skated on the most serious charges.
We've seen that in this case, some juries will agree, some juries will disagree. That's the nature of our jury system. It's everybody off the street deciding what they think is right and what they think is wrong. He was acquitted on the RICO charge, and one of the jurors said he didn't understand it. I've been teaching criminal law for 62 years. I didn't understand the charge on the RICO case. It's very complicated. And so, this is a split verdict, and nobody is going to be happy with a split verdict.
Yeah, he made a good point. We've seen this happen before with these celebrity trials where they throw the kitchen sink at people. And RICO was designed for the mafia.
Right.
And I think it's a pretty... Look, I'm just a low-level bird lawyer right here on the radio, right? I don't have a legal degree of any sorts, but it would seem to me when you're dealing with regular people, you've got to be able to simplify things down to where a third grader can understand it. And I think sometimes the government in these cases, especially when you're dealing with guys who have the monetary means by which to fight back, they overcomplicate things, and the jury gets distracted on things they might otherwise have voted for because there's too much coming at them at once.
Yeah, and they just don't understand basically the law. But here's another example, Rob, of, once again, hundreds of thousands of hours of video, allegedly. All kinds of celebrities involved in this. All the way from allegedly Justin Bieber to Usher to Jay-Z, the whole music industry. And he's charged basically for paying for prostitutes to travel. And that's it. I would not be surprised if Diddy doesn't do 2 more months in jail and then he's out. But it takes me back to the Epstein case. Where are the people that are on the video? They charge this person. They say he's running this crazy trafficking thing. Well, who are the Johns? Who are buying the services? Because you can't traffic the nobody.
It's a very good point. And it brings me to the next point, which is there really are 2 levels of justice in our society. There is justice, or there is a system for poor people, And then there's a system for real people. And you think about the people who get convicted, and you think about the people who are able to get off, people who have money. I mean, it's hard to beat the federal government, but take a guy like Vince.
The Feds hit it 99%.
Well,
they don't lose cases.
But take a guy like Vince McMahon. He beat the federal government in the 90s. It cost him $6 million in the 90s to beat the federal government on trumped-up steroid charges, which were drug distribution or whatever, which were completely ridiculous. But a regular person probably would go down for what Diddy was accused of.
You're taking a plea deal.
You're right. Most of these cases.
He's not even going to court.
Now, the other side of that is regular person wouldn't have had the means to facilitate the stuff Diddy was alleged to have done, or the stuff that's on camera, or the eyewitness testimony appears to confirm. So there's that side of it. But I don't think it makes us like radical leftists to go, hey, there really does appear to be two systems of justice in this country and two alternate worlds and results based on what sort of income you have to put a defense together.
I think this proves that you can get so big that the rules don't apply to you. Yeah. If what you do encompasses so many people, they, much like our politicians in Congress, we will protect the system before we call anybody out.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that. All right, so I want to play you this clip because people are up in arms over this Democrat socialist, the socialist winning the Democrat nomination for mayor of New York. And sometimes it's easy for us from afar to not take this stuff as serious as we should. Why? Because we don't live in New York City. And it doesn't really directly impact us, although it does. I mean, he will be running if he wins the financial capital of the world, basically. But I think it's, 800 miles away, and, we lose sight of it. But this stuff, these elections, it's like a virus, right? Like it just spreads, right? This guy does it here, and then this guy does it over here, and this woman does it over here. And before you know it, it's where you are. And I want to play this clip of this guy talking about his view basically for the elimination of personal property rights. I want to play this clip. And as you're listening to this, Jerry, and as you're listening at home, ponder this. Can't we have some middle ground where we don't let government own everything, but we stop subsidizing rich people to have nice stuff? And this is the problem, is the crony capitalism has become so extreme that it gives a voice to a guy like this who wants to take away basically all personal property rights. Stuff like what's going on with the IEDC has become so extreme and so abhorrent that it gives rise to a guy like this who wants to do the worst thing imaginable, which is basically take away personal property rights.
Go further toward the Vienna model. We'll have to go beyond the market. We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership. We can give tenants a right of first refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale. And we can fully commit to a new era of social housing, ending subsidies for luxury housing development and using our wealth to build beautiful, high-quality social housing projects that offer good homes and strong communities to everyone. We won't decommodify housing overnight, but we know what we have to do, and we have history to guide us.
I mean, so my abuela told me this doesn't work in Cuba very well. All right, so yeah, the government-run grocery stores and no personal property is not working out very well for my cousins in Cuba.
Yeah, and so this is come back to the point I just made, is this is insane. It's never going to work. But also on the other end, the capitalist people have abused the system so bad that people feel they have nowhere else to turn rather than to insanity like this, because they are unable to get ahead, because we got things like the Indy Reporters laying out that's happening and happened over years with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, in which money is taken from regular people and it is given and oftentimes wasted on just complete shenanigans, or millions of dollars is given to these uber wealthy corporations that are able to hide from transparency. And people say, well, if I got to pick a side, I'd rather pick a side on the guy that's going to take the rich people down rather than the rich people abusing me.
Yeah, and here's the crazy part, because this is not too far from home, right? We have a Democratic Socialist on the Indianapolis City Council.
You do.
And as much as we go, ha, 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 one was just elected to run as the mayor candidate in New York City. Yeah, this is a big deal.
But the problem is, and this is what gives life to a rise like Jesse Brown. By the way, I think Jesse Brown is somewhat ignorant to the beliefs he espouses to represent. Having dealt with him and talked with him, I think he believes in some utopian
100%.
Socialist existence that doesn't. He uses
fairy tale land,
other countries, and it's sort of nonsensical. But
they could sound attractive to people who don't know better.
You're right. And the problem becomes when you see the abuse of trust that people like Joe Hogsett and Bob Bosley and these other people have, the way they've abused the system and trust, it gives credence to a Jesse Brown because he is by far the most honest person up there. People say, well, at least with Jesse Brown, there wouldn't be the sex scandals or covering up the shenanigans or the guy having a serious drinking problem or the guy unable to run a city. I mean, he wouldn't be able to run a city effectively. But Joe Hogsett has created, the Democrat establishment has created, because they abuse the system in the same way the Republicans do, just with different people and different causes, where people look at them and say, your behavior is so pathetic. Your behavior is so out of line that I'd rather have an honest guy in there and say what you want about Jesse Brown. He's as honest as the day is long. All right, let's take a break. Speaking of the city of Indianapolis, did you know, Spanglish, that there's a committee on committees in city government?
What?
There's a committee. This is the most government thing ever. There's a committee on committees. And one member of the Indianapolis City County Council has had enough of one committee that he sent a letter, a sternly worded letter, to the committee on committees to make a major change. Does that make any sense to you?
Not at all, but I'll ask the committee.
We'll give it another stab when we come back. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Karine Jean-Pierre. Latest to put some tell-all book out there about the Biden White House and...
Oh, her horrible book. Karine Jean-Pierre and her horrible book. Ugh.
She's saying that she is leaving the Democrat Party now because of the way the party treated Joe Biden.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors. For 1951 cabinetry, visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. 317-480-4040. That's 317-480-4040.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show this Saturday and Sunday at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory on West Minnesota Street. The best dealers in the region, hundreds of tables, just $6 for adults, kids 12 and under free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. This Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors. For 1951 cabinetry, visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
He'd like to fix Indianapolis city government, so he sent a firmly worded letter to the Committee on Committees. Did you know we had one of those, Jerry?
I had never heard of this.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Jerry Lopez. Find him on Twitter at Indy Spanglish in for Casey. Yes, indeed. This is how screwed up our city government is. There's a committee on committees.
Sounds like bloat.
Well, we'll find out. Josh Bain, he is a member of the Indianapolis City County Council. He was he's one of about 2 or 3 that would actually like to fix what's going on there. He has sent a firmly worded letter to the Committee on Committees asking for control over one of the committees. Josh Bain joins us now. Josh, hello.
Hey, Rob. Good to see you.
Okay, so before we get to your sternly worded letter, there is actually a committee on committees.
Yeah, well, when I first saw that, I kind of chuckled a little bit as well. But Essentially what it is, it's basically what like legislative council is over at the General Assembly. It's the leaders of both caucus and then the president of the city county council. And it's just the mechanism to appoint people to committees. You know, you have to have some way to appoint members of the majority and minority caucuses to each committee. And so they meet maybe once a year. And in that meeting, you know, it's probably just a couple minutes long, really. You know, Leader Lewis would say this is who the Democrats want to put on this committee, and you know, Leader Hart would say this is who Republicans want to put it. Yeah, it really doesn't meet that often, and you know, when it does meet, like I said, it's usually just a couple minutes long. So, and maybe change the name of it so it doesn't sound so eyebrow raising, but it does actually serve a pretty important function.
So it sounds a little bit like jury selection.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I can definitely see the analogy there.
All right, so Josh Bain from the Indianapolis City County Council is our guest. We're discussing his letter to the Committee on Committees, and you have basically become Popeye the Sailor Man. You said, I stands till it can stands no more. I'd like to take over the investigative committee because, let's face it, in this whole Thomas Carl Cook thing, that thing's been a dumpster fire.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, you saw what happened to Councilor Carlino when she came out and, you know, called for the mayor to resign and what the Democrat Party leadership did to her. And as a result of that, she is no longer chair of the investigating committee. So there's an opening there. I will say it's not my first time requesting a chairmanship. You know, when former Vice President Adamson lost his reelection to Jesse Brown, he was chair of the Public Works Committee. So I actually sent a letter back then as well requesting to be chair of that because I think infrastructure is, you know, probably one of the most important things our city does. But no, I saw that there's an opening there now, and I felt like I'd be a really good leader for that. I will say at the very least, we can't just let it go away quietly. So, you know, if I'm not going to be the chair, you have to appoint someone else as chair. And the interesting thing is, you're kind of, you know, if they're wanting to pick people who haven't called for Joe Hogsett to resign, they're going to be running out of people on the investigating committee because I think there's 3 of the 7 on the investigating committee that have called for the mayor to resign at this point.
Is there any rule that says you have to have different people in charge of the committees from the different parties, or can they just load all the tops of the committees with people that affiliate with the left?
Yeah, you can basically do whatever you want. It's interesting, you know, on the city county council, they don't really do proportional representation like they do at the state house. So, you know, at the state house, you could maybe have, you know, if you have an 11-member committee in the Senate, you might have 9 Republicans and 2 Democrats, whereas it is a little bit more balanced on the city county council, which is both a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, you know, we're able to have a lot more influence, be on a lot more committees. The downside would be is you know, you are stretched pretty thin, and you're on, you know, 7 or 8 of, you know, the 10 committees.
Josh Bain from the Indianapolis City County Council is our guest. He has sent a sternly worded letter to the Committee on Committees saying he'd like to head up the investigative committee, which clearly somebody new needs to do that after this Thomas Carl Cook debacle. All right, Bain, so we're realists here. Realistically, like I've applied for jobs before that was just a favor to me. I mean, I haven't applied for many jobs in my life, but one comes to mind where I knew I had no chance to actually get the job. They were just doing somebody I knew was solid. Like, realistically, you got any chance to get this? I mean, I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you sent the letter. I'm glad you're the one guy with the ballular area on the Republican side on the city county council. But any chance you actually get the position?
Well, I'm ever the optimist, Rob. So, you know, I do go into this eyes wide open, and like I said just a couple of minutes ago, hopefully at the very least this draws attention that we do need a chair for this committee. If it's not me, you do have to appoint someone. It can't just go away quietly. When I first applied for the Public Works chairmanship a couple years ago, in that letter I actually referenced what former Speaker of the House Brian Bosma did, because when he was Speaker, he actually appointed a Democrat. I believe it was Stemler for a little while, and before that, I can't remember exactly who it was, but he appointed a Democrat to be chair of a standing committee, which was almost unheard of. So, you know, for all the bashing that the Marion County Democrats like to do of the state legislature and the supermajorities over there, let's not forget that they have actually appointed Democrats to be chairs of committee.
Why are you the only guy speaking out against Hogshead? I mean, your colleague Michael Paul Hart, he's a complete joke and an embarrassment. You got the rest of them that if haven't said anything if you can find them. Why are you the only guy?
Yeah, well, Mike sends his love, by the way. I definitely don't want to speak for anybody else. I know Mike has put some stuff out there and everything about it. It's certainly not my place to speak for the caucus or for anyone else. All I will say is that I'm very comfortable where I'm at.
When we look at the council, I think what a lot of us saw on the outside is the left basically said, shut up and get in line. What kind of precedent do you think was sent by, she comes out and she says she calls for his resignation. They immediately kick her out and she comes back and apologizes and they said, okay, you can come back.
Yeah, I think it was very damning. And again, I think I've said this before. Last time I was on your show, Rob, a couple of weeks ago, is that every time that the Democrats do something related to this investigating committee and this scandal, they make it worse. And now it looks like it's just the mafia running the show.
Yeah.
Where, don't you dare cross this line. And then someone does, and you see what happens to them. So, I don't know, part of me hopes that a couple more of them find the political courage to come forward, call for his resignation on the Democrat side of the aisle. But don't be surprised if they don't at this point. I mean, look what they just had to go through, and you go and look, and clearly President Osterly is the fundraiser of their caucus. He's the one that doles out all the money, and unfortunately, with that does come some influence that he has over them.
I think you said it best. We'll leave it there. It is the mob. The government is the mafia. Josh Bain, Indianapolis City County Council, thank you for your sternly worded letter to the Committee on Committees. We hope you lead up the investigative committee. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you all.
Yeah, it's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-777-1225. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-777-1225. That's 800-777-1225 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. 800-777-1225.
Summertime's here, so get a hot summertime deal at Tom Roush Lincoln. Get Lincoln's employee pricing on most all new Lincolns. Get up to $20,000 off. Select 2024 Navigators. Up to $8,000 off select 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Come and see why the Roush family has served the community for over 53 years at Tom Roush Lincoln.
Navigator MSRP 105-195. Nautilus MSRP 60-195. 2025 Navigators excluded from employee pricing. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. Destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars July 31st at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m. And Saturday, August 2nd at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Getting ready for a hot 4th of July. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending at 11:30. The National Weather Service says the warm weather trend will continue into the holiday and into the weekend.
It looks like highs in the upper 80s to low 90s are going to persist into next week.
Meteorologist Cody Moore says heat index values will also be just under 100. A 19-year-old is in custody for a shooting over the weekend on I-70 that left one man injured. A Lafayette father who pleaded guilty to murdering his 3-month-old son is sentenced to 92 years in prison this week. He also admitted to wanting to kill his wife. All debris is now out of the way on eastbound I-70 in Hancock County following a semi-fire early this morning that backed up traffic for miles. And Westfield resident Joey Chestnut is back on a quest to dominate the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest on Coney Island. His current record stands at 76 hot dogs eaten in 10 minutes, and he will try to beat that tomorrow. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it for free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials, sponsored by Age of Learning.
Hey, guys, it's Thursday, and I know we're off tomorrow, but that means Sunday will be here before you know it. And this Sunday, if you're looking for a new church home or even a first church home, check out the place we call home, Life Church. We love Life Church because they have campuses all across central Indiana. They've got Noblesville, they've got Fishers, they got Eagle Creek, Pendleton. And if you want to check it out for yourself, you don't even have to leave the comfort of your own living room. They got great online services. Life Church is warm. They're welcoming. This 4th of July weekend, they'd love the opportunity to meet and welcome you and your family. Learn more about everything on the web, lifechurchin.com.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
You'll be one smart cookie when you try Bluebell Cookie Cake Ice Cream. A sweet cream ice cream loaded with chocolate chip cookie cake pieces and swirls of chocolate and vanilla icing. This cookie cake ice cream really takes the cake.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell Ice Cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Our show, Expedition Retirement, now has a new name. Join us for Fire Your Financial Advisor, Sunday mornings at 7 on WIBC.
Okay, so Jerry has made a very important life choice based on something the government did, and we'll get to that in a second. I didn't want to mention, by the way, it's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Jerry Lopez, Indy Spanglish on Twitter, in for Casey. I did want to mention real quick before we get to this, because this fascinates me, what you've decided to do.
I didn't decide; they decided for me.
Well, you made a financial decision.
Yeah.
Which some will say that was the goal of the choice the government when the government made the choice. All right. Don Hine has passed away, and this is kind of breaking news for some of our listeners. May not know who that was, but for those of us who grew up here in Indianapolis in the 80s and 90s, and obviously people even before that. Don Hine was a longtime sports broadcaster. WTHR is the television station he is most affiliated with. Maybe best known as a guy who had a lot of high-profile back and forth with Bob Knight. And like I said, if you grew up here, he was 85 apparently, and been out of the limelight for quite a while. But if you're a long-time Indianapolis lifer, that name will probably mean something to you, and so condolences to his family. All right. Okay, so you have made a decision.
Yeah.
It's a good one, I think.
I think it's a good decision. I feel good about it. I don't feel pressured.
You've decided to stop smoking.
Yeah. So we always talked about this tax that was coming, and I always said $10 was my number.
Yeah.
Like, it was at 9-something. I said, man, at $10, I just can't see myself paying.
That's
$10.
for a pack of cigarettes?
Yeah.
Now, is that average for cigarettes?
I would say so.
There's different brands,
I would
right?
say like low 9s to just above 10s. Some are more expensive, of course. Like the American Spirits are $11 already.
How many cigarettes come in a pack?
20.
How long would a pack of cigarettes last you?
Depends on what you're doing. Right. So if you're out with friends and having drinks, it lasts a little bit less. Right.
Really?
If it's a normal day. Yeah, I don't know.
Can you just take an average day?
I would say some people probably a pack a day would be
No, for you.
Probably a little bit less than a pack a day.
Okay, so you were basically in about $10
a day
ish. Well, now you would be in $10 a day.
No, now I'd be in $11 a day.
Oh, $11 a day. Okay.
They blew right past 10.
And you said when the cigarette tax got raised, because of course the Republicans can't manage their money and they blew through all their money, and then they also can't forecast how to predict how much money they're going to have. Smartest guys in all the rooms, and they can't do anything related to money. Instead of doing the right thing and making government less, they raised taxes by $1 billion to bail themselves out at the end of the legislative session. They went after the smokers because they're an easy target.
Yeah.
And
they call it the sin tax.
Yes, that's right. And I've never understood why, if something is either legal or it's not. If we want to make an argument that smoking should be illegal, I'm willing to hear that. Of course, the dirty secret is they can't live without the money they generate from smoking. But if we want to have that conversation, I'm all ears. But whether it's alcohol, gambling, smoking, if something's legal, why should it be taxed differently than something else?
Just because you feel differently about it morally.
Well, right. And they go for it because it's easier to villainize the people who do it rather than saying, yeah, but we said it's something people can do. Anyway, you have said.
So it went up July 1st.
Yeah.
July 1st, overnight. Overnight, nothing changed.
Yeah.
It's actually the same pack that was sitting on the shelf the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Went from $9 to $11.14, and I said no mas.
You said that's it.
That's it.
How long have you been a smoker for?
Oh, for a while. Yeah, probably from the service days. Probably 20 years. If
20
I look
years.
back, yeah.
And you've never quit before?
I think I tried with Chantix before when I was in a service. And
What
it
is
worked.
that?
It's like a little pill you take, and it
Okay.
makes you just kind of not want to smoke.
Sure. Now you. So this will be your first real cold turkey.
Yeah, it was not really cold turkey because, like I said, I have a couple Zins I already had, so I probably have 7 of those. But when
What are those?
Like little pouch,
Oh, okay.
nicotine
I got you.
pouches,
Right.
which probably has made it easier. But yeah.
And they're not as expensive as the.
I don't know. I haven't bought a new one, so when I go and that's up $2 more, maybe we're done with that too.
Are you feeling any side effects? Are
Not-
you
not
feeling
yet.
any?
No, not yet.
Nothing.
I am excited to see like my cardio.
Yeah.
Right? Do I? We had a fire drill one time at work. I had to walk up 5 flights of steps. I'm like, holy crap, I'm out of breath. This sucks.
No, do you do any normal exercise? I mean, you're a pretty skinny guy for your age.
No.
No?
No.
Just-
I'm like a Ferrari that you never change the oil in. Like, it looks great, but if you run that puppy quarter mile, it ain't going to make it.
Okay, well, this is going to be fascinating. Like, so Monday you'll be back with us. Casey's off again Monday. We have no show tomorrow. But Monday it'll be interesting to see going the weekend how you're doing because you're on day 3.
This is day 2.
Day 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, why didn't you? I mean, you must have some desire to actually quit.
I think
as well.
every smoker wants to quit.
Really, you do.
Yeah.
Because the
I think it's just a habit.
The economic decision would have been just buy a bunch ahead of time.
Yeah.
Now it won't last forever, right? You're not in a bunker somewhere, but you would have been able to do that. So kind of deep down, maybe you did actually just want to quit.
And I'm going to Florida here in a couple weeks, and like I looked up their tax, and it's like $1 something. But at that point, if I'm done smoking for 2 weeks, like I don't want to go down there and do it. I do want to do some housekeeping real quick. We talked about Joey Chestnut, the celebrity status or whatever, and people think you're a celebrity.
No.
Believe it or not,
Nobody
dude, believe
thinks
it.
I'm a
This is a crazy thing that happens to me. I have friends that I play darts with or whatever, and they tell their parents, like my friend works at WIBC, they all think it's cool.
Yeah.
Right? So there's one of my friend's mom.
It's always the mom.
Yeah, is a huge fan of the show. So Jane Gauchi.
Jane!
Thank you for listening.
Oh, we love that.
We passed it on. You're awesome. I'll be back Monday, but yeah, you're the Joey Chestnut of WIBC, Rob.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if we ever talked about
You
this.
remember Hot Mandy?
Yes. How is Mandy?
I don't know. We never talked, but this is a small world. A lot of people listen to you. That's why you're number 1.
That's I thought maybe you and Mandy had like connected again or something.
No.
So for those who don't know, this was I don't know, maybe a year or so ago.
What was your first job was the conversation. And I said, McDonald's, I got it because the manager was hot. And turned out she was a WIBC listener.
Yes, we started talking about this random woman, and Mandy was her name.
Like 30 years ago.
And then you found each other on the Facebook, I think, or something, and somehow you guys connected that she was a listener. Here's what I've always said about this job. Like, when I was a kid, this job on this radio station was the equivalent of the silver screen. Like, I grew up wanting to be a radio. I didn't want to be on television. I wanted to be a radio broadcaster. And I remember, like, late at night, this is when radio stations were still staffed, 24/7. I remember listening to disc jockeys at night. Like, I would lay up in my room. And it's weird the things you remember. I grew up, when I was a kid, I was the last house on my street, and it was a giant field next to it as far as the eye can see. And so, I remember, there are things that I just vividly remember in my mind, and I can vividly remember. I lived in a 2-story Cape Cod house, so it was so hot upstairs. Like, no matter how cool the downstairs was, the upstairs was hot. And so I would have the window open at night. And I can remember having my little stereo as a kid with the window open, and you would hear all these sounds from the field, and you don't hear it anymore. And I miss those things. Like, we had this conversation a long time ago about how you don't see lightning bugs anymore.
Yeah.
And I miss hearing crickets, and I miss hearing the owls, and I miss hearing all these things. And I remember, like, the window being open.
You don't see the bikes in front of houses anymore.
No. And we were literally the last house, and there was a basketball goal. It dead ended, and it was just, you don't even realize how special these things are until they're gone now. But the window being open and hearing the local radio station and hearing the guy on the radio and thinking that was where the action was, right? And as a kid, it was rare that a kid would want to be like, that was their interest, was radio. But in the 80s and 90s in this city, it was Bob and Tom and Q95 and the Jay Bakers, and I was so blessed that Jay Baker, I became friends with years later, and he became my radio mentor, and so much of what you hear today, he sort of instilled in me, so you can thank or hate him for much of what you hear today. But then it was WIBC, and it was the names of Terry Stacy and Jeff Pigeon and John Gillis and Fred Heckman, and it's like no normal little kid knew these people, but to me, this was the place, and like it was this other world opportunity that you dreamed someday you would get. But in the meantime, your path to WIBC, you don't just wake up one day and walk in here. I worked at so many little radio stations where you wondered, like, are there 10 people listening? Are there 12 people? And in my mind, because you never see the people, like I know basically 50,000 people every single day are listening to what we do. But in my mind,
it's just me and you.
It's just us and Kev. And I grew up on these little bitty radio stations, and I still think it's 12 people listening to the community affairs program.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's like, hey, a lot of people do listen.
Do people ever ask you for your picture? Like when you go somewhere like in town and people go, hey, are you Rob Kendall? Can I get a picture with you?
You know, it's weird. Outside of where I live is much different. Yes, because in my own town, and again, I'm not equating myself with any sort of celebrity status.
You are a local celebrity.
But people are just used to you being there. Like, and I'm not equating myself to this person in any shape, form, or fashion, but obviously I've read many, many books about Bruce Springsteen, and he spent much of his life, despite his celebrity, in and around his hometown. And they used to say it was not uncommon that he would be out and about, and he would just show up at random, like if he were out walking, just doing random walks like you or I would do, and there would be a wedding somewhere, he would just come in, like walk in and just say hello to the people, congratulate them on their marriage. Or if he were in town, he would go to somebody's house and have dinner, like just some rando stranger. There's all these stories about that. It just wasn't that big a deal that he was there because you saw that person all the time. Like, yes, they were famous, but once you've gotten used to seeing somebody. So to most people, because I'm such a townie, people are like, it's just, there he is. Like, you talk to people, you see people, you whatever. I'm not in any way
I will tell you right now, when I go places like, so my path was completely different. No radio experience at all.
Yeah.
I was a local guy who listened to WIBC driving around.
Yeah.
And then to show up and be like, holy cow, that's Hammer and Nigel. Holy cow, that's like, it was crazy. And now when I see you guys, like, I'm like, what's up, bro? How are you?
Yeah.
Or we text each other, whatever. But when I go out, like, you guys are a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. Because I tell people, I'm like, I don't think it's that cool. You guys do.
You know, there was a line in Kev will love this. We're going to do a Harry Chapin reference here. When I was a kid, there was a line in a Harry Chapin song, and he said, it's better sometimes if you don't get to touch your dreams. And I will say to every person who's ever dreamed, keep going, because this is my ninth year here. And it has been everything I've ever imagined it being. The relationship with the audience, the ability to be here, to stand on the shoulders of the people that we've mentioned, the Gary Todds and all of these people who made WIBC. I mean, the crazy thing about this radio station, different frequency number, but same call letters, has played home and played career to some of the greatest people who have ever lived in our industry in this state. And the fact that we get to do this is why when the people are like, you should run for this, you should run for that. Why? Why would I want to do that? I spent my entire life trying to get here. And then what? I give it up to be miserable? Again, that's not going to happen. And the biggest part of this is, and we say this all the time, it's the audience. The audience is what makes David Wood, our boss, and I were having this conversation the other day. The incredible loyalty and the incredible passion of our audience and the fact that the level to which they engage every single day is unlike arguably any talk station in America. And when you look at the ratings for these radio shows and how from one show to the next, oftentimes especially with talk stations, there's one show that'll shine above the rest. Like this one does, way better. And this show is lifting everybody up. You look at our ratings, it's pretty linearly number one.
But I think that's a testament to the work that you and Casey and Hammer and Nigel and Katz and everybody, the audience believes you. They know you're being genuine. They know they can trust you. They know you're not full of fluff. I may not like what Rob's going to say, but he's going to tell me the truth.
The crazy thing about my life, too, is, and I've lived in about a 3-mile geographical area of my entire life, but because of where I live now, I literally live next to the house I grew up in. And the house that I live in now is the house that as a small boy, when I would hit wiffle balls over my fence, it's the yard I would hop into. And I can, on a summer night or summer evening after my kid goes to bed, I can go out in the yard and I can look either in my own yard or my dad's yard. And like I can see my life as a kid. And I hope this is making sense. Like I see the dreams that I had to be the place that I wanted to be. Like as a kid in that yard, I dreamed of being the places that I am. And I can look as an adult now and see the younger version of myself dreaming of the person
that you are,
that I wanted to become.
Yeah.
And I made it, man. I made it. It's crazy.
8-year-old Rob is sitting in the seat he always wanted to be.
I didn't dream of being like a nationally syndicated radio host. I didn't dream I dreamed of being here. And it's so weird that and maybe this is some weird field of dreams thing where I need to be psychoanalyzed. But every night I will sit and I will just pause for a moment. And in these yards and in these moments, even though everything around it looks different, I can see the thing and think, my gosh, the Lord blessed me. I made it to the place I always wanted to go.
But isn't that what makes America great?
It is, man.
Right? Like, you didn't know any broadcasters. You had a dream, and that's what you went for. And in my case, I just really liked doing this. And all of a sudden, people went, holy cow. Yeah. They notice you. So it's a testament. If you like what you're doing, if you love what you're doing, keep doing it. You will be noticed.
Yeah, and that's your whole story because you literally came over here on a boat, or your parents did. Anyway.
Literally. One trip from communism, and now I'm on WIBC talking crazy about the government.
Yeah, not smoking.
Not smoking. Day 2, baby.
All right, one segment to go. Jerry's in for Casey. Kendall Casey Show at 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show. It's our special Independence Day show. We're going to play Back It Up Terry. We're going to have some of our favorite fireworks moments. Jeff Boggs is in for Nige. Let's go.
Lately, the market has been making some big moves, and not all in the right direction. If you've been watching the numbers and wondering what it all means for your retirement, you're not alone. At Howard Bailey Financial, we plan for times like this. The truth is, a volatile day on Wall Street can feel a lot different when you're getting closer to retirement. That's why right now is the right time to take a fresh look at your portfolio, and Howard Bailey can help. Are you taking on more risk than you realize? Are you diversified in a way that makes sense for where you are in life? Find out today with the help of our free Market Volatility Guide. Visit retirewithpurpose.com to download your free guide and learn more about what market shifts may mean for you. That's retirewithpurpose.com. Together, let's make sure your plan is built to weather whatever comes next. Howard Bailey Securities, LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
We all have people in our lives we interact with. Maybe it's your favorite barista, a neighbor who waves to you every morning, a coworker you grab lunch with, or maybe it's me, the hairstylist you've gone to for years. What if you learned I had a substance use disorder? Would it change how you see me? It's okay to see the addiction, but when you choose to see the person, not just their disease, it can help change someone's life. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
Neighborhoods are popping up everywhere, but if you want something different than what you're currently seeing, Joyner Homes, based out of Greenfield, can build you a unique, custom home on your own private lot or anywhere you can bring your own builder. They've built hundreds of homes across central Indiana. Visit Joyner Homes Model Homes or go to joynerhomes.com to see floor plans and pricing and more. With Joyner Homes, you can even start from scratch if you want. Check out their 5-star Google reviews and visit joynerhomes.com.
Pat Sullivan here with Michaela of Michaela's. If you have water damage, why should you call Michaela's?
Michaela's is a local family-owned Indianapolis company with 39 years experience. On call 24/7, 365. We are IICRC certified and will restore your space to pre-loss condition or better. And we work through the entire insurance process on your behalf to make it easy.
Water, storms, fire, and mold. Life happens. Michaela's happens to help you through it. Text or call 844-FIX-INDY.
Downtown Indy's Fourth Fest, presented by UA Local 440 on the Indiana War Memorial Grounds, kicks off with a street party featuring live music, a kids zone, great local food, and more 6 to 10 p.m. Then fireworks with an amazing grand finale thanks to the Indiana Fever and WNBA All-Star Committee.
The street party is brought to you by Indiana Donor Network and Donate Life Indiana. One organ and tissue donor can save 8 lives and heal 75 more. Sign up at DonateLifeIndiana.org and talk to your family about your decision.
For more info, go to downtownindy.org.
Trump country is booming. We're building, hiring, and winning in Indiana because energy tax credits put America first, bringing manufacturing jobs home and creating a stronger middle class.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country. More production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers.
And America's comeback depends on American energy. Senator Young, keep what works. Don't repeal energy tax credits. Paid for by Built for America.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
More tariffs later, tornadoes possible.
WIBC.com gives you more than just headlines. It's context, updates, and insight. Whether you're at work, on the move, or catching up late, the latest is already there. Stay in the know while you're on the go at WIBC.com.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her.
It is the Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Our old pal, Jerry Lopez. Find him on Twitter at Indy Spanglish, in for Casey. Final segment of the program. Not only for today, but this week. No show tomorrow because it's the 4th of July. Spanglish, we will be back on Monday. You're here, right? It's you.
The 7th?
Yeah.
I'll be here.
That's you.
I am here.
All right. So what are you doing tomorrow? You got any big plans? You're Mr. America. You're Mr. Patriotic. You probably got some big firework brouhaha in the works.
Well, I plan on keeping all my fingers this year, so no fireworks for me. But I'll probably head over to Carmel Fest, eat some elephant ears. I'm a big fan of fair food to celebrate No King's Day tomorrow.
You ever been fireworks guy?
I was big-time mortar fireworks guy, like a bunch, and sometimes they can be a little aggressive. Even for somebody like me in the service, you're looking around like normal people should not have all this.
Okay, so I have a confession here. I've never actually bought a firework.
You just steal them.
I've never been... I've never shot off fireworks on my property.
No Roman candles or none of that?
I mean, I've had the sparklers.
Sure,
before.
that doesn't count. Don't ever say that again, Rob.
No, I've always observed others igniting fireworks.
Are you scared of fireworks?
No, I don't know. You know how, like, when you're a kid, your families have certain traditions or things or whatever? We just always went to the Brownsburg Park or from our house, you could actually see the fireworks from the Brownsburg Park. So we didn't even have to go. And so I think we never did fireworks. My grandparents never did fireworks. I'm not opposed to them.
Yeah, but you like watching them. You just don't want to participate.
I'm not on a moral... I guess I feel like maybe this makes me a freeloader. If someone else is going to spend their hard-earned money to do it, why am I wasting my money?
And that's why socialism doesn't work. That's it.
So like fireworks, they're expensive though, right? Like,
They gotta be, right? Everything's more expensive today. It just, to me, it's crazy that if you show up with $1,000, you can buy all the bombs you want. Like, that is nuts.
So Hammer and I have had this conversation for years, and look, I am a very, shall we call me a thrifty person?
There
You
you
know
go.
this.
I
I'm
believe
very,
that.
very good at stretching a dollar. I have a problem with spending money on things that disappear. Like, okay, it's over, it's done with. If you're saying I'm going to buy a house, I get that. Spend a little more on your house. You're in it every single day. If I'm going to buy a car, I get that. You're going to have it every single day. If you collect something and you can enjoy it every single day, or you get a membership to a golf course and you can enjoy it every single day. I just have a problem where spending a lot of money on things that then it's over, it's done with, and I have nothing to show for it.
Are you not a big go out to eat person?
No, well,
like a St. Elmo's or something. Top of the line?
No.
Because it's the same thing, right? It's $300. But
Yeah, no. Come on, Jerry. Like going to the Applebee's is a big thing for me because again, right? Like, is the food that much different? Like for the price of an Applebee's meal versus a St. Elmo's meal that I need to spend that much.
And
more
you're going to
money.
be full no matter what.
Exactly. You know, so no. I've always just associated fireworks with something like that, where it ends so quick.
That's true.
And then you don't have anything to show for it. Now, I know people like Hammer, they're going to blow up the neighborhood. Right?
Did you see the picture they posted on Twitter?
That's what he does.
It's a trunk full of fireworks.
This is his, like, it's like Christmas for him, right? He loves to blow the stuff up. And so when I see people doing the fireworks, in my mind, I'm just thinking how much each explosion costs.
Yeah.
And it's not good. I'm not pretending it's good. I'm not pretending like it's healthy.
Are you going to do something for your daughter, like any of the little things, fountains or anything like that?
She's 2.
I know. Come on, Dad, get on the bus, dude.
No, I mean, I look at it like I pay a lot for the park system in Brownsburg. We'll probably walk over
There you
because
go.
everything's in the walking distance of where I'm located at. I'll probably just see my tax dollars work. Now, I think the fireworks
Are you going to count the tax dollars as they go up?
Well, I think the fireworks in Brownsburg are the Lions Club. I think it's a private. I think that it's a privately funded deal that they do, like a thing for the community.
And downtown Indy still does fireworks show, correct?
Yeah, well, they
the
brought it
big
back.
one.
It went away for a while. We used to be super involved with it when MS owned us. There was always a big deal and a celebration, and there were bands. And I was on the stage before doing announcements for things years ago, but I don't.
They ruined it. You showed up there like no more.
Yeah, I think COVID brought it about an end to most of that.
And then we had drought season, so we couldn't do it because of fire.
Right. Got to be very good. Because I remember Hammer and Nigel broadcasting there one year and going down there, and I was on the stage doing announcements with other MS people, and then Hammer and Nigel were broadcasting, but that all is that's all gone away. So, Jerry, awesome job today, man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you to you, the listeners. Have a very safe and happy extended weekend, and we will see you back here Monday. Kevin, great job as always to you as well. Stick around. Tony Katz coming up next. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Guys, Hammer and Nigel here. Don't live with tiredness and low energy. Get your life back with testosterone therapy at Low T Center. Take the test, get fast results, and start TRT with Indianapolis's leading experts in men's health.
Now it's easier than ever with the new Synergen X Health app, an innovation in healthcare technology you won't find anywhere else. Download right now or book an appointment while the test is still free at fixmylowt.com. fixmylowt.com.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for 1951 cabinetry. Visit Drexel's Kitchen and Bath Design Centers at 146th and River Road, North Shadeland, or DrexelIN.com.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up.
While it will be hot and humid outside.
Semi had a mechanical problem.
Actually went into the drive-through lane of the Arby's restaurant.
Yeah, by the time I got on the plane, I was over it.
This is the WIBC News at noon.
Just how warm is it supposed to be? Right now, you've got a sunny day so far, 85 degrees in the Circle City. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 12 noon. Temperatures will get into the 90s this weekend all across Indiana.
While it will be hot and humid outside, not seeing those levels fall into like those the dangerous category.
Cody Moore with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says there might be some sporadic rainfall, but nothing severe. A fireball seen lighting up the sky this morning in Hancock County on I-70. Hancock County 911 Public Information Officer Greg Duda explains why.
Started about this morning around 4:30, about 5 o'clock. A semi had a mechanical problem, which caught fire, caused a lot of backup.
But that wasn't the only issue.
What ended up happening is as they got that put out to get the area cleared, a secondary crash happened behind it, and then on top of that, we had a couple of disabled vehicles behind that as well.
Then people that were stuck in the closure fell asleep in their cars before, so how long they had to go to wait there. Duda says police officers had to go from vehicle to vehicle to wake up and get those people to move again. The closure lasted for several hours. It's not every day that you hear road rage and Arby's in the same story, but that's what you get with this one, Johnette Cruz reports.
In Clark County, Wednesday, driver Nathaniel Richard Long of Lima, Ohio, fled the scene of an accident after he hit a semi-tractor trailer, was weaving in and out of traffic as police tried to pursue him. He eventually stopped at an interesting place.
It initially started to stop in the middle of the roadway, actually, on the interstate, but then quickly took off again and fled. The vehicle quickly exited, actually went into the drive-through lane of the Arby's restaurant at a truck stop.
That's Sergeant Kerry Holes with Indiana State Police. Long was then booked into the Clark County Jail on OWI, resisting law enforcement along with other charges. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
If you're going to be traveling on this 4th of July weekend, you will have lots of company.
The total number of travelers for the holiday, an all-time record, says AAA, 72.2 million. And that's up double digits since before the pandemic. So we are back in a big way. 61 million of those by car, another 6 million almost in the air, and that's an all-time record as well. And then there are folks that are cruising or on buses or on trains. The cruising is very big, says the folks at AAA.
That's Fox's Jeff Flock reporting. Gas prices are also at their lowest in 4 years, the average being at $3.16 a gallon for regular on a national level, and Gas Buddy says that $3.16 is also the average for Indiana. An Indianapolis church wants the LGBTQ plus community to face the death penalty. Jarrett Lewis explains.
During a recent sermon titled Pray the Gay Away inside the Sure Foundation Baptist Church on the northwest side of the city, church leader Stephen Falco shared this message.
There's nothing good to be proud about. Being a you want to blow yourself in the back of the head. You're so disgusting.
Falco made his comments at the church's men's preaching night. In an emailed statement from the church, they said Falco is, quote, only calling for the death penalty and suicide for the actual sodomites. The concerned clergy of Indianapolis released a statement in response, calling the rhetoric harmful and something they stand against. Jarrett Lewis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Florida's newest immigrant detention center, dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, may already be filling up. Florida's Attorney General said plans were in place to check in hundreds of criminal illegal aliens at Alligator Alcatraz Wednesday night. The Everglades facility was built to hold about 5,000 detainees. Democrats are calling this a dehumanizing approach to immigration. Rapper Sean Diddy Combs will stay in a New York City jail as he awaits sentencing. He was acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking charges on Wednesday, but convicted of 2 counts of transportation to commit prostitution. Here's what these people think he'll be facing in terms of jail time.
Probably probation.
Yeah, I think he's going to get the 5 or 6 because they're going to look crazy by doing all this, spending all this money, and he doesn't get much jail time at all. That'd be crazy, especially considering that they was offering life at the end of it and stuff like that.
Anything could have happened in this trial because it's Diddy.
And his sentencing is scheduled for October 3rd. What happened to Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan has been a mystery ever since they both went missing in 1937. Steve Schultz represents the Purdue Research Foundation. He says they have reason to believe that the plane both Earhart and Noonan were on when they went missing could be on an island in the South Pacific.
And so when Purdue was approached about the idea of an expedition going to this island to explore and confirm this theory, Purdue Research Foundation thought it was worthwhile to do because in some ways we're coming full circle, given that it originally funded her flight around the world.
Schultz says the expedition to that island is set for November First, in 1935, Earhart became a visiting faculty member of Purdue University. The Indiana Fever don't get a lot of time to enjoy their WNBA Commissioner's Cup win. They won that trophy along with some prize money Tuesday night, but now they've got a game tonight against the Las Vegas Aces. And at practice on Wednesday, Fever head coach Stephanie White explained her mentality about the whole thing.
Yeah, by the time I got on the plane, I was over it. Right, it's like you got to get ready for the next. It's sort of the nature of compartmentalization, right? It's yes, it was awesome, it was fun. I wanted to celebrate it for them. They earned it.
Fever guard Caitlin Clark is supposed to miss her 4th straight game with a groin injury. Tip-off tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And making its final run is the Crazy Train. Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath will reunite on Saturday for Ozzy's Back to the Beginning farewell concert. The lineup also includes Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Pantera, Slayer, Alice in Chains, and others. The sold-out show in Birmingham, England will be available on live streaming beginning Saturday morning at 10 Eastern Time. I'm Sean Herrick on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 12:06, Tony Katz Today.
Live from the heartland and the crossroads of America, it's Tony Katz Today.
Well, hey there, everybody. This is Tony Katz Today. Obviously, I am not Tony Katz, neither today nor any day. You know something, Landon? I haven't used the fact that it sounds like a really great jazz band.